Okay, I got the red smoke.
Gun runs north to south, west of the smoke, west of the smoke.
Okay, copy. West of the smoke. I'm looking at danger close now.
Come on with it, baby. Give it to me. I need it. You're cleared hot.
Copy, cleared hot.
Let me ask you this, though. Is it getting better or worse in the 3 years that we've known each other?
When you say it's, what do you mean? So the trafficking situation that I originally set out to fight?
Yeah.
Better.
Okay. Like all aspects of it? Or are you guys not? Okay.
The child exploitation side of things, significantly worse.
Why?
We're going to get into that.
Before we do, I find it fascinating that somebody who worked for the Central Intelligence Agency can't remember where the podcast studio is. Can you explain that?
Well, you told me to meet you at the coffee shop.
Yeah, but then you asked me, where's the studio?
Well, you said meet at the coffee shop, so I
Then
figured...
why'd you ask where the studio was?
Because I figured you were smart enough to build a studio at your coffee shop.
No,
so you
that wouldn't
have to
be
go to
smart.
multiple locations.
Think about the non-smart level of that. I would never escape. Plus, we've met many times in this building. Yes, it's a different room, but yeah,
I just figured you had a new studio.
Well, technically,
sounds
same building. I'm just saying, when I have worries about the CIA.
Oh, dude, you should have lots of worries about. All right, so first of all, we got shit to talk about. You did a decent amount of work with the CIA. So like allegedly. So you know better than to be worried. Like you have reasons to be worried.
I had, you know what though? It's with every agency, alphabet soup and not. I had great experiences, and I had ones where I was wondering how people got their job in the first place.
But holistic competence
depends on. I mean, shall we say, targeting, human, SIGINT. Very nice.
But that's only parts that you saw.
College graduates who were giving me tactical advice because of their bachelor's degree.
Hey, they went through the farm, man.
Not as awesome. Recommending that we seize the low ground and fight up. I'm like,
whoa, really?
Yes.
Okay.
That actually, I will not put too many details in other than to say it was brought up in a meeting. It wasn't a briefing yet, a meeting. Mm-hmm. I think you guys should look at going in right there. And you're familiar with the topography of Afghanistan.
Yeah.
It was one of the lowest spots, and we'll call it 15 grid squares. And
well, maybe they just thought that, hey, if you do something that stupid, people are going to think that you surely are.
If you go so far out of the box that no reasonable person who has any understanding of tactics would think that you would do that, perhaps.
I don't think the public understands the level of micromanagement that happens. I routinely use this example of I was on a VTC briefing, an operation in a North African country where there was a very big problem that happened, right? And there may or may not have been a book and a movie written about that stuff that happened in that North African country. So I'm briefing an extremely important person on the other side of this VTC. And one of the National Security Council people pipes in and says, wants to know why I've got a sniper positioned here and not here. I'm like, well, it's because there's this massive tree right there, and so the sniper would be able to see nothing but leaves. Oh, okay.
What's the movie where you can curve the bullet? You got to whip it.
Yeah.
Wanted. And
then they asked, well, what kind of footwear are people on your team wearing? And I thought it was like a humorous recovery from the really stupid question that they asked previous about the sniper placement. No, they were serious. And I was like, well, I mean, depends on who you're talking about. Like the snipers tend to kind of wear like climbing approach shoes. The QRF dudes, I promise, are all in boots. The assault team is probably wearing like Vans skate shoes or something like that. And she said, well, are you sure that's the proper footwear for the for the environment? And I was like, ma'am,
why would
they like to wear those because they don't pick up rocks, so they don't make noise when they transition to a hard floor. And she's like, oh, okay, well, I guess that makes sense.
Why would she care is the biggest question.
Because you have so many people who are just trying to figure out questions to ask so they can look smart.
Oh, they want their they need a little bit of FaceTime on the VTC so people can see they have their input.
Exactly. And I use that example all the time with civilians. Like, you have no idea. I honestly believe that the American populace would be extremely proud if they knew the things that their special operations and intelligence community had done. I think they would be even more proud if they understood the circumstances under which they got them done.
Indeed.
I mean, we were successful in spite of our superiors and our higher ups. Right?
Nonlinear problem solving.
Yeah.
Speaking of the government, did you flip through the Epstein release documents, of which you could read maybe a sentence per page? You want to talk about people losing faith in the government, and I can't point to a single reason as to why maybe they would be losing faith. What are your thoughts, sir? You work in this. Well, I guess. Well, hold on. Was Epstein? Because you obviously work in the trafficking world. What was he convicted of?
So he was well.
Because I want to make sure I use the correct terms. He was convicted.
He was convicted of
right?
a number of crimes. Most of them were around the exploitation of people, right? And I forget the actual legal.
Michael, will you look it up?
Legal terms.
Because I really want to say he was a human trafficker, but I don't want to be wrong.
I can.
How dope was his prison sentence, though, where he would go to jail, or he would leave jail and just go back
you're
at
talking
night.
About that time.
In Florida, yeah.
Yeah, so no, I believe that was...
well, he didn't make it to trial the second time.
No, that was... was that...
What's up, everybody? You might ask yourself, interesting green screen behind me. Well, it's not a green screen. I'm not in the studio because I did ad reads out of order, and I realized that today's episode is brought to you by Montana Knife Company, not the other brand that I did the ad for. And I've already left the studio for the holidays, but that's okay. I don't need to be in the studio to do this one because you guys know what Montana Knife Company is about. They're knives made here in Montana, Frenchtown, which I'm much closer to right now, but Josh doesn't know where I am. This is like a undisclosed location. That's Javelin. He's barking at things because he's a total dick. Anyway, leading up to the holidays, I was telling you to think ahead, get the drops, which come on Thursdays and Saturdays. You can sign up for the text or the email. They drop them both ways. Sometimes they have stuff in stock. Sometimes they don't. Gift cards are also great if you have a last-minute gift that you need to get somebody. Bottom line is this. Go to montanaknifecompany.com and see what they have to offer. Join the mailing list. You're going to be kept up to date about what they have going on. They're getting ready to move into their new facility just outside of Missoula, where you're going to be able to see how they make the knives. They're going to have a Black Rifle coffee out front. It's going to be an amazing experience. Lee and I will be there for the grand opening. But it's just an awesome brand. Founded by Josh, who's a good friend of mine, the youngest master bladesmith ever, bringing jobs back to Montana, working on increasing manufacturing capacity in Montana and in the United States, vertically integrating. It's fantastic. MontanaKnifeCompany.com. Go check them out. Grab something for yourself. You've been shopping for other people. Now it's time to get yourself, I would recommend, a steak knife set. Back to the show.
It involved minors. I want to say it was like commercial exploitation of minors.
Sex trafficking of minors, yeah. Okay, but he didn't make it to this
But
court
what was
case, right?
what was the actual charge that they used? A lot of times sex trafficking gets thrown around.
Commit sex trafficking of minors.
Charged with conspiracy. So it was a conspiracy.
0205.
Yeah.
Epstein sexually employed and abused dozens of underage girls by enticing them to engage in sex acts with him in exchange for money. Yeah.
Because there's a difference between sex trafficking, 1859, I can't remember that off the top of my head, the U.S. code, but then there's the conspiracy to commit, which is essentially that's like pimping. Is a good way to think about it, right? Which means that, so if it's conspiracy to commit, that means that they most likely were saying, okay, well, we think that you were doing this not just for your own pleasure.
Yeah.
You were doing this specifically to make money.
All I know is when he was in jail in Florida, he left during the day, and he would come to a sleepover.
Left during the day to go to work.
Yeah.
Right?
Come back and do a sleepover.
Yeah. And how many of those did he actually do?
How many of those would you and I be allowed to do if the roles were reversed and it was just Nick and Andy?
Never be allowed to leave in the first place.
Correct.
So, I mean, I think everybody understands at this point, Epstein, and I mean, I'll say this relatively definitively, Epstein, 95% probability was an intelligence asset.
You're saying that because you are a representative of the CIA, correct?
Not anymore. That's why I can say it.
Come out on record. Whether you can or can't, let's just speak for the agency. You, of course, because I had no direct ties.
Sure. Yeah, none whatsoever. So I think, obviously,
what do you think of the
intelligence
release
asset
of this? You know, one of the when I hear people talk about losing faith in our government and our institutions, there's so many examples that you can point at.
Sure.
It's almost at the point as if they are trying to do things to make people lose faith in it. One of the things that Trump ran on was transparency and releasing this list. And then to go afterwards, are you guys still talking about Epstein? And again, this is another thing I don't understand. I don't understand why people can't be critical of not only another human being, but a party, and still support other aspects of what they have going on.
I feel like we've just lost all critical thinking because now, like, we're no longer, like, personally, my politics obviously tend to be relatively conservative, right? I mean, as a Christian, somebody who thinks that, you know, government isn't necessarily a good thing, it's pretty easy to see what camp I fall on, but my politics are policy by policy.
Yes.
There's great things that the blue side does. There's great things that the red side does. It just tends to be that I happen to agree with more that happens on the red side. But
we're not in that world anymore, man.
You're at this point, we're picking Super Bowl teams.
Yeah.
Right? I mean, it's just like, well, what team are you picking? And I'm picking this one. And it's tribalism is what has happened. And so I think that the reason why you've got people who are so upset if you call out, you know, essentially, you know, their God, is because, how do I say this? It's because their personal identity is now wrapped up in being a member of that tribe. It's no longer about the red, white, and blue. It's no longer about the Constitution of the United States. It's no longer about these core fundamental issues that make America what it is. It's about, well, you know, this is my guy. And if you say anything bad about my guy, then you're saying something bad about me. And so it's linearly predictable that that's where they're going to go, is they're going to get upset.
I don't understand the word cognitive dissonance that much, but I feel like what you're talking about falls.
Yeah, I feel like it. Yeah. Ultimately, it's a whole lot of I believe just intellectual dishonesty.
I was going to say laziness. I was actually going to say intellectual laziness.
Yeah.
Because it saves you time, I guess, when you view it like you're talking about Super Bowl teams. Yeah, it should be red, white, and blue, but it's just red or blue using the, you know, the political spectrum. But I'm sitting here watching a guy campaign on this, which I'm all about, by the way. You will not find somebody who is more pro protect the victims. Like, of course,
right,
protect the victims, but how about we pull the abusers out into the public square and shame them, mock them.
Potato peeler.
Well, I was going to say light them on fire, but the potato peeler could be involved in there somewhere. I'm totally open for that. And honestly, I've had to give up the potato peeler idea because nobody's going to let me do it anyway.
Yeah.
Because then I'd end up in jail, and I'm not going to get to leave Monday through Friday and come back and spend nights.
Oh, that's not true, man. Just a shape charge placed in the proper location, and we can
Listen,
create an
this
exit.
isn't Iron Man, all right? Where it was the fake potatoes and they switched out a guy in the cell.
Yeah,
I can't believe that people are tolerating what to me looks like nonsense. He went from running on it to, are you guys still talking about this, to fine, and just completely like 100-page documents redacted where there's a few sentences.
Yeah, there's nothing of substance, and I think
I think there is plenty of substance. It's just underneath those black lines.
But that's predictable that it happened.
So what's under those black lines?
I think what's under those black lines is information that is so damning that I think the information is so damning it would destroy our economy. Because I think you're talking about
save our country?
The titans of industry. Well, this is where I think things get extremely complicated, right? So as an example, we are the largest and best, right? And I like to say all the time, it's not that we're that good, it's that everybody else is like really that bad.
One of my favorite sayings.
Yeah. So I mean, it's just true. So if you have the largest military might the world has ever seen, best intelligence might the world has ever seen, largely the best educational system. I mean, in America, we have the best of everything. That is largely due to our economic might, right? Mm-hmm. Yes, the foundation of that was our freedoms and all of that. But when you look at keeping people in line, that as long as they can go do the things that they want to do, they even if they're living paycheck to paycheck, they're still living paycheck to paycheck, right? People become extremely comfortable, and comfortable people are very lazy. They're not driven. They're not hungry.
Yeah, they're malleable.
You make people driven. You make them hungry, and then what happens? All of a sudden, they start looking around and they start looking for opportunities for change. And so every, essentially every populist revolution that we've had from my historical reading, and again, like I'm, not exactly the most educated guy, has all come from some type of economic displacement. And so if you have a mass scale and a economic displacement in a country the size of America, right? I mean, imagine if we had 30% unemployment, or imagine if all of a sudden we had these massive problems in the stock market that weren't necessarily tied to like an AI bubble or housing bubble or something
just
like that. It was
in
just
general.
systemic, right? Then what ends up happening?
Well, what ends up happening if we don't do anything? I feel like both. I mean, so again, I realize the world isn't binary, but we're kind of looking at two extreme examples. I think you laid out a pretty good one of what if it topples because people are looking for change. But what does it look like if we do nothing?
So I'm not a fun person to talk to on this because I actually don't think it's recoverable. There's a lot of things that I look at and I just think mathematically
I'm edging towards that, not in the term that Michael uses, edging for it, but I actually just recently laid out word. I'm upset still to this day. I thought edge lording meant that you were the lord of edging, but it's a shit talker on the internet. So don't use those terms.
It's not what you think it means.
I'm bummed. Yeah, but I just use the word edging properly.
As the cool kids
That's
say.
awesome.
Yeah, in an economic talk. So you're welcome.
There you go. Boom. No,
I don't know if it's recoverable either.
We are a late stage republic, and we are going down the road of every single late stage republic. And I think we're on one side of a lake, and we can go to the left, which is a very rapid deceleration and path to destruction, or we can go to the right, which is a longer, softer landing, right? And at the end of the day, what do we become when we hit the other side of the lake? England.
What would you put a timeline on either of those options?
Oh man, I have no idea. If I could,
don't throw that out there.
If I could
give me
estimate
something
that,
to look forward to.
If we go to the left of, like, you look at what's happening in New York, like, we're about to run one hell of an experiment, a political experiment in this country.
I think it's already been run. You can look up at other countries that have gone down socialism light, and you can look at quality of living. You can look at tax. You could look at quality of healthcare, pollution, housing costs. Like, the answers to these tests are already kind of out there.
But they did it as a country. So New
York's kind of a country.
We have countries within countries, right? I mean, our country's already starting to balkanize. I mean, look at the number of people who move here to Montana from, say, California.
They're moving back, though. Have you seen the stats?
A lot of them are moving back, but some of them are moving back.
I wouldn't say a lot. Growth has slowed.
Yeah, but a lot of them are staying here, and when you talk to them, why are they here? They're political refugees.
Yes,
that's why
I felt that quite a bit.
That's a large part of why they moved here. That's a large part of why they're moving to Florida, right? And so
we had people move up here just because we were still actively training jiu-jitsu.
Oh. Wow.
Well, let me say this. That was tangential to why they came up.
Sure.
They a lot of them, not a lot, I'm not going to use the term a lot. Quite a few people I know left California. They also participated in jiu-jitsu. And as soon as, like, they would come up to visit, to check it out. And as soon as they would come in for to roll or train, and the next thing you know, they're like, oh yeah, we put a deposit down on the house. It just kind of aligned with they wanted to make their own choices for themselves, which I am very pro people doing.
Absolutely. And people should be able to incur the consequences of their choices. And I think a large part of what's going to happen in New York is you have people who are incurring the consequences of their choices. And so the government is coming in to try to alleviate the consequences of those choices, which are going to make the consequences worse, and on and on. I mean, when I go to New York, which is usually only about once a year now, I probably used to go 4 or 5 times a year. Now I'm in West Palm, because everybody I knew who used to live in New York,
they moved. For
the most part, they all live in West Palm. And it's just other clients that I have in New York who are part of, like, a large hedge fund or something. Yeah. And it would be extremely difficult for them to move, right? And uproot the entire investment company. But a lot of them, they make sure that they spend very, very minimal time for tax reasons in New York. So I actually think we have a proxy for this, which is New Mexico. So New Mexico,
unless you're talking about registering vehicles, then in that case, Montana is the proxy for this.
I think the New Mexico has, I want to say it's more PhDs per capita than any place in the world.
Dear Michael.
Yeah, because of the national labs that are there.
Well, that makes sense.
The national labs, the infrastructure that goes around the national labs. I mean, you've seen this stuff. I mean, it's It's massive.
Yeah.
And it's not just the national lab itself that's such these massive complexes. It's all of the contractors and all the different people that make those systems run. And those are important. We need them.
Is it doing that grab to the left again, Michael?
Yeah, a little bit, but it's pretty easy to fix.
Massachusetts, Maryland, Connecticut, and states with major research labs like New Mexico. So what's really interesting, often lead in the highest percentage of density of PhD holders per capita.
Maryland. I wonder why it's so proximal to somewhere else.
Right?
Connecticut.
What else is in Maryland?
Yeah.
What else is in Connecticut?
Yeah.
So when you look at areas that have extremely high densities of government spending, because like what is making those national labs run, and what is leading to
direct
this
or indirect
density of
ties to
PhD
government funding?
Exactly.
Yeah.
It's all government funding eventually, right? It's all tax dollars. Population size and university presence alongside areas near DC like Virginia. So Maryland,
Specifically northern.
Massachusetts. So Massachusetts, obviously, you've got Harvard, MIT, all that, but look at the amount of government funding that goes into those. So if you can trace government funding to an area and you end up with these high concentrations of government funding, what happens to the rest of the area? Well, I think you can look this up, but isn't New Mexico like number one for poverty in the country, or it's like number one or number two? So you've got, a extremely high density of PhD holders per capita, yet I believe New Mexico also has, it's either 49th or 50th worst education system. So
Mississippi is currently ranked as the state with the highest poverty rate in the U.S.
New Mexico,
but let's
number
be
two.
honest, no disrespect to anybody from Mississippi. Does that surprise you?
No, not at all. Not at all. But
18 to 19%. Yeah, New Mexico. Okay, I mean, you're right behind.
So what's really interesting is the state of New Mexico is an extremely interesting case study, because New Mexico used to be a red state. I mean, New Mexico is a bunch of ranchers and oil guys.
If you had just asked me to guess, I would have said it was still a red state.
Oh, God, no.
Oh
no,
I
their
have been
governor.
To New Mexico. I've been to New Mexico, but I haven't spent a lot of time there. There are places there that are shockingly beautiful.
Oh, incredible. New Mexico probably has some of the best outdoor recreation in the country, because, I mean, when I lived in New Mexico and I was a PJ instructor, because it's where the Pararescue school is, I lived at 6,000 feet. I could hike out my back door for an hour and go ice climbing in the winter.
Oh, God, that's awesome.
I could go skiing in the summer. I had amazing mountain biking, rock climbing. I mean,
Full 4 seasons.
Yeah, and 300 days a year of sunshine.
Yeah.
And, Taos was a few hours away. Ski Santa Fe was about an hour and a half away. I mean, it's just incredible.
It's like postcard beauty. And it's,
yeah.
I need to actually spend more time there.
I wouldn't recommend it.
No,
unless you want
to visit. I mean, look at this stuff.
But even to visit. So one of the reasons why I ended up leaving New Mexico is my wife and I lived in a nice gated community inside the
Are you saying you're one of the
6 months that we lived there?
You're one of the elites. Am I looking
elite in New Mexico?
Am I looking at the problem in this country
a low bar.
right now?
A low bar. Yeah, there was a drive-by shooting across the street. There was multiple SWAT call-outs in this very nice neighborhood on a golf course. And so the culture of crime that came from massive amounts of government spending, which meant that in order to support the labs, you've got to have a high level of education. So all of that is coming into the state. It's not being bred in the state. And it's linearly predictable the direction it went, to the point that I believe it was I think it was this year, the governor actually declared a state of emergency and sent the National Guard from New Mexico into Albuquerque because the crime was so bad to deal with crime. But here's what she did. So you're thinking the way Trump sent him into D.C. Oh, no.
I don't know what I'm thinking.
She put him in khakis.
I was just thinking about what you said.
She put him in khakis and polo shirts, unarmed.
What was their roles and responsibilities?
That's a great question.
Because, I mean, again...
unarmed security isn't security.
Well, even the National Guard that was sent to L.A., they were standing outside of federal buildings. They weren't even working hand in hand with law enforcement because they can't because of Patsy Comitatus.
Right.
So it's a weird move. I guess it's an optic that's just, again, you want to talk about everything through the red or blue lens. It's going to completely be weaponized. You're going to get a different story. National Guard are out there arresting people. And I heard from people in federal buildings that were like, yeah, they're just standing out in front of our building. And that's literally all they're allowed to do. How that impacts crime, I'm not necessarily sure. Maybe it would deter it at a federal building.
Maybe. But the governor of New Mexico is let's just say she's a little extreme in her viewpoints. And even she had to acquiesce to say, okay, I've got to do something because crime is so out of control. But
is that the something? I mean, could we not figure out a better solution?
How about just enforcing the laws we have and holding people accountable for the decisions they make? I mean, it seems pretty simple to me. It tends to work in most households across the country.
What's the argument against that?
I don't know, man. I don't know. I think this. I have a right to be a victim type mentality, right?
No, we all have that right. You don't necessarily have to express it.
But I think that people think that you know.
Also, by the way, that's not a
you
right,
had it
that's
better
a
than
choice.
others, or I had it better than others, or you know, Michael had it better than others, and so you. By having it better, where the reason that I had it bad is because you had it better, right? It's a zero-sum mentality.
Such a myopic way to look at life.
Yeah, because it's just not the way that life that life works.
Yeah,
and so,
and where do you end that? Because regardless of where you're at, let's say, and I'm in no way trying to demean anybody's position in life, but there is also a reason why refugees will do everything they can up to including risking their life to come here.
Yeah.
So people in the United States are the lower rung of the economic ladder who can look all the way up and say that. There are people underneath them who are doing the same thing to them. So where does that go? And how does that help? Like life isn't fair. I totally understand that. And I don't think that we should prey upon the vulnerable or the weak. But I also don't think you should have a revolving door policy when it comes to law enforcement, because you want to talk about tests where the scorecards on the classroom wall. I think we got the back on that one. Like, what are we doing here?
Yeah. So the law enforcement has this theory of law enforcement called broken windows theory, which is basically where you enforce the law on the little things, you know, kids breaking windows, graffiti, things like that. They don't eventually become drug dealers and murderers. And there's within some academic circles, it's controversial. That is not controversial within professional law enforcement circles. Every law enforcement officer worth their salt is like, yeah, that's exactly the way that happens.
Look at parenting. You can't just address the major issues. If you wait to say something to one of your kids until they are rolling with the bad crowd, have already come home either in the front or the back of a cop car, or you're getting a call, or have already, if you wait until that point, I mean, it's possible you could do a 180, but a lot of it's going to have to do with that individual. But yeah, starting off from when your kids understand communication, about how to be polite and kind, please, thank you, how you talk, how you listen, how you behave. It's the same. It's the broken windows theory just applied to parenting. You start at the smallest possible issue and you build on top of that.
Yeah. This morning, my daughter comes out of her room at 6:26. She knows that other than to go to the bathroom, if she wakes up early, she's supposed to be reading, drawing, you know, doing something, but she's not to come out of her room until 6:30. So she comes out this morning at 6:26, and my wife, of course, sends her back to her room and says, it's not about the 4 minutes. It's about following the rule. And we don't do that across society.
How old is she?
She's 8.
Give it time.
Oh, I know.
I caught my daughter vaping the other day.
Oh, really?
Yes.
How'd that go for her?
It's tough. Well,
how old is she?
17.
Oh, okay.
Finished high school early. She's in a vocational program for welding.
Nice.
Is 8 your oldest?
Yeah. I know.
I cannot.
The future for me is
how many kids?
She's way smarter than me.
Yeah, that's
too. But she's way smarter than me. She
already
manipulates me, and my wife just laughs because I don't even see it coming.
Yeah.
And my wife will just be like, "Oh, she just totally had you." I'm like, "What? She just wanted this."
The amount of pain and suffering you have ahead of you, it warms my heart.
Good.
I look forward.
I'm glad to hear that.
So I catch her.
It's going to be awesome.
We were getting ready to go to Costa Rica, and I walk into her room, and she slides something under the pillow in her bed. I was like, "Hey, what's that?" Nothing. Like, there's nothing under your pillow? Nope. Lift your pillow up then. No, I don't want to. And I just looked at him like, is that your vape? Because that's what these knuckleheads are doing. And then they will try to, well, it's not as bad as smoking. I'm like, oh yeah, I'm sure that's natural blueberry frost flavor.
Like, really? Let's look at the data on that.
Yeah, I'm sure it's farm to table blueberries that
Two Bear Farms was growing the blueberries.
That a monk with an eyedropper is just putting into that. And, you know, there's a couple ways you can go with it. One, did I know that she was vaping before that? Yeah, I know that all 3 of my kids had played around with that because I understand the influence of social circle over parenting.
Kids do. Sure.
And so instead of, I'm like, I don't get pissed. I've never yelled. We sit and we talk. And I sat down and I talked to her. I was like, listen, I could take this from you, but I know that's not going to stop you from doing this because I realize that you need one person in your social circle that's over 18 or 21. And this is a revolving door of getting as many of these as you want to. If the stores even ID, which most of them actually don't. These kids know the gas stations to go to, who the attendant.
I did when I was 100%. That age.
And this is the optic that I look back on. Yeah. So I'm like, listen, I could take this from you, but I know that you'll get another one. And the reality is I want you to make the decision for yourself that this doesn't serve you.
Nice.
You know, you tell me sometimes that you're struggling with, you know, you don't feel hungry in the morning. I'm like, let's talk about the effects of nicotine. And oh, by the way, what chemicals do you actually think are in this thing?
Yeah.
And I did say, I told her, I'm like, it's not farm to table. You know, we had that conversation. Right. So, and then when we went to Costa Rica, every adult that we encountered, I was like, oh, I just caught my daughter vaping too. I told the TSA agents when we were going through security, I'm like, can you give her extra screening? She's up there doing I'm like, make sure she doesn't have and she was so mortified by the end of the trip. And so my middle son, who is 20, is back from MSU. He just walks into her room last night, goes into her door, grabs it, walks outside, and throws it over the fence.
Nice.
And they get into this argument with my wife is listening to this. She was just like, I've never heard or seen anything like this. And so they're just going at it back and forth. And my daughter Julie's like, well, Dad didn't take it away from you. Why would you? And he's like, because it's stupid, and I don't want my sister to be stupid. So they just, and I just sit. I was.
Just let it play out.
Let it happen.
Let it play out. Yeah.
Because I took my approach, but at the same time, I also appreciate Tyler's approach too.
Yeah.
Which
he may or may not have gotten from you.
There's right or wrong answers. Parenting is a weird one when it comes to that, like right or wrong. I mean, I think there's more effective and less effective.
Sure. And it's per child.
It is per child.
If I tell my daughter what the rules are, she's like, okay.
Yeah.
Now, my son is proof that karma is real.
Yeah.
Because he's like, show me where it says I can't.
Well,
and you know where he learned that?
Yeah. Wait till the social circle too.
Yeah.
Where not all families are the same. And families have different rules, and then people develop different thoughts about the rules, whether they're malleable, whether a rule, is this rigid, or is this like an undercooked spaghetti noodle where I can push it over here just a little bit? That has influence, man.
Sure.
And your kids are all going to have to make mistakes along the way.
And I try to help my wife understand that. It's like, look, she'll always be like, telling my son, be careful, because he's, climbing on the roof of the house or whatever.
Yeah,
because
that's what he's supposed to do.
And like, stop telling him to be careful. Like, you don't want a boy being careful. Like, tell him to be wise, because there's a difference between getting hurt and getting injured.
Yeah, but you can't be wise when your age is single digits.
But you kind of can. Like, hey,
no, you
maybe I shouldn't climb on the roof of the house. I'll climb on the top of the fence.
No, that's not what. Tyler, have you ever heard somebody say, or Michael? Tyler's my middle son. He knows. Michael knows him though. A lot of people have said Tyler's, wise for his age. And I hear that.
Yeah, so I could see it.
Well, here's the thing. He's going to engineering school.
Nice.
He's crushing it. He's got a job at a quantum computing lab in Bozeman.
Nice.
Which he'll probably hook up and play Xbox with.
I mean, hey.
And so he's crushing it in so many aspects. And he'll have conversations with you about economics and stoicism and philosophy. And he was trying to tell me about the space-time continuum. I'm like, shut up. I don't even... 3 roundabouts ago, I was off this car. And then he can't get up on time. You know what I mean?
Well,
he'll wash chapstick, like 3 chapsticks in his pair of pants. Or he'll... he let his car battery die at his apartment complex in Bozeman for a week. So he would call an Uber, have them show up, jump the car, and then cancel the ride. But he got to know the people, so they didn't charge him.
Right.
So he's wise in many ways, but he's also 20, so he's an idiot. So you can't really be wise until you have some wisdom and experience to go around with.
I think for me, what I mean by being wise is he's gotten hurt plenty of times.
Yeah,
I mean, he's probably been hurt 3 times today.
That's how we learn.
And I turned the third stall of my garage into a ninja gym. And so I put mats on the floor, but still, when he started probably climbing around that thing when he was 3 years old. And when you're 3 years old and you're, 1.5 feet and you fall from the ceiling onto those mats, they're
not as cushy.
It'll get your attention. You're not injured, but you're definitely hurt. And so trying to help him think through, like, okay, hey, remember when you did that? Remember how bad that hurt?
Yeah.
What do you think's going to happen here? And you're over grass, or you're over concrete, or you're over gravel, and because he just likes to climb stuff. So, we actually switched him. He was in jiu-jitsu at a different place that shall not be named here locally, and we actually put him in SBG because it's 3 times as expensive, which I really didn't want to pay. But at the end of the day, you get what you pay for.
Cost and value are very different things.
Oh yeah, because the program and the way that they. It's almost like Boy Scouts in the way that they run it, and it's awesome. What's really cool is now I have something, because he loves it so much, I have something that I can hold over his head, right? That's
an interesting parental approach as well that I deeply support and have used many times.
Yeah. It's like, because at the end of the day, if you take something from your child, or you threaten to take something from your child or whatever that they don't care about, like, that's not a consequence. But if suddenly it's like, hey, you're not going to get that next stripe on your belt if I don't make this little X right here. And if your teacher doesn't make this little X right here, then suddenly, that has a way of causing focus. And I think, kind of back to what we were talking about, we don't have consequences in society that cause focus. You look at all those murders that were happening.
When did that start, though? Because I don't feel like that's always been the case.
I don't mean to sound conspiracy theorist, but I think it started in the 50s with the ties between the ACLU and the KGB are well documented. And so if you look at what was happening in the 50s...
Michael, do you have our tinfoil hats? I think it's...
Yeah.
It might be time.
My fingers are about to be on fire.
Yeah. If you look at also the way that the KGB said, hey, like, we can't beat America. Like, they know, like, the Russians knew they could not beat us. That we would just... If we went to war with them, to include currently, if we go to war with them... in an actual hot war, either a limited conflict or a full-scale conflict, like, we're going to crush them. It's not even going to be the same game, and they're fully aware of that. And so they've been trying to destroy us from the inside from the beginning. And if you go back to unclassified documents or documents that have been unclassified, it's always been Russia. They very specifically went after our academic institutions, and then they went after, certain entities within the legal system, because they knew if they can control 3 things: media, the academic institutions, and they could control the legal system, then they could control the entire country, which is actually pretty smart. And one of the things that we forget is, who are the best chess players in the world?
Computers.
They're almost always Russians. Who are we, like, very excited when a computer beats, a human chess master?
Yeah.
It's always a Russian that they're beating, or it used to be anyway. So
how much of that do you think the U.S. is doing towards them? Or has that not just been our brand of tea when it comes to intelligence and, long-term espionage like that?
I think we win wars. Like, we confuse a pause or a transition in conflict with a win. Right? I think that's the problem. And we are, as a country, we're incredibly good at winning battles. Best in the world at winning battles. We're the worst at winning wars.
Or putting things back together.
Yeah. Or coming up with some, like we're going to freaking change Afghanistan into a freaking democracy after 2,000 years. Like, maybe not. So there is
12 months would have been about a good time for us to stay there and get out of there.
I agree.
Looking back now.
I agree.
Tactically, it's almost like we did everything in 90, but we could have stayed for like another 9 months, just to make sure.
And at a soft base there with a lot of air power and some shooters.
Yeah, Bagram for sure.
And keep 2,500 people there, 3,000 people, and kind of like we did in Korea. right? Probably maintain some type of limited persistent presence to be able to, anytime something is rising up against America or against the regime that we want to see in place, we smack it down. But thinking that we were going to change this entire population was just foolish. There's no other word for it.
What do you think the world would look like? I mean, our ability to find, fix, and finish those type of people when they got together to plan, coordinate, whatever it is. I mean, they learned as well, so they became very disaggregate. And I think there was 60 plus countries that have some level of ISIS, ISIL, whatever you want, what radical Islam, which wasn't the case before that. I wonder what that would have done to those tentacles spreading out into the world. I wonder if it would have contained it more.
That's a good question. I don't know. We know that the bad guys who lived through the GWAT were the smarter of them. Yeah. And so I think we probably just would have ended up in the same place. It just would have been a matter of time, like how would it have happened faster or slower. But one of our biggest problems, and there's a lot of people who are going to really get pissed at me for saying this, but one of our biggest problems is anonymity on the internet. And there is a big difference between anonymity and privacy. And people confuse those two. Your license plate on your car provides privacy. It does not provide anonymity.
Yeah, because the law enforcement, the
right people can look it up.
And they have like LPRs, license plate readers. They have the ability to sniff that stuff.
Not in Montana.
Well, I mean, there are states other than Montana.
Right.
And most high net worth vehicles are registered in Montana.
This is true. This is true.
So, you know,
as are a lot of airplanes. And
I mean, listen, I didn't write the tax rules, nor did I know that before I moved here to Montana, but I'm not going to talk shit about them.
No. And so if you look at if you look at the internet writ large, I mean, the ability for bad actors to recruit people is on a scale we've never seen before. And it's impossible for any government, for all the governments combined working together, which obviously would never happen. It literally violates the laws of physics. There's just too much scale.
Is it impossible or require things that people would not tolerate? We're talking like drastic throttling, filters through government.
No, I don't think.
You don't even think that'd be possible.
I don't think any of that is even needed. So you can't open an anonymous bank account today.
Okay. I mean, I've never tried, so I don't know.
But you can, right? The banking, there's all types of banking regulations that were passed in order to get organized crime under control.
Can't you like pay a dude in cash to go to Switzerland or something? Because I have seen that in a movie.
Yeah, no.
I don't know.
If you, it doesn't matter if you're a billionaire. If you walk into a Swiss bank with a blue passport, they will escort you out the front door.
Really?
Yeah, because America had leveraged its might and said, "Hey, we know that a lot of our citizens are avoiding taxes legally by putting things over there." Same thing with the Caymans. That's why this whole golden passport thing is such a big deal. So you can get a Portuguese golden passport, which then gets you a Portuguese passport, and then you can use that passport to go to Switzerland and open your bank account, or the Kingdom of London.
Nobody would ever think
one
about
of those.
that.
Oh yeah, nobody does that.
Yeah.
So the way that system, they got that system under control was by saying, all right, all of these countries, if you want foreign aid, if you want our defense, you want all that, you now have to report every single American who has an account in your bank. So all the banks were like, cool, we're just not going to allow Americans to have accounts in our banks anymore.
What about digital currency?
Well, digital currency, I mean, I can't buy at your coffee shop. I can't buy a cup of coffee with digital currency. So the problem
is just in Costa Rica where you can.
Oh, that's cool. But when are we going to allow that in America? So
I don't know.
A bigger question is the banking system going to allow us to have that? Or are they going to make sure that the politicians keep that from happening?
Is it the banking system's choice? What if people just hop from the traditional banking system in volume over to a digital currency and the banks lose their power?
It is their choice, because I used to trade a lot of crypto. Yeah. Because you didn't have to pay taxes on what you made, because it was not considered real money. It wasn't considered worth anything, right? And then I think 3 or 4 years ago, I stopped trading and I just started holding, because now you actually have to report your crypto transactions on your taxes.
Did you buy any of those, what were they called, like pictures of things?
No.
No. I still don't understand what that was. Well, NFTs, that's what they were called.
NFTs, yeah. So it's kind of like art. So extremely wealthy people you ever wonder why these like dumb paintings go for so much money?
Nope.
And
then a second in my life do I wonder why paintings cost what they cost.
Well, this is how it works, right? So congratulations, you're a billionaire. I'm a billionaire.
Yeah.
And
I just bought the Mona Lisa.
Yeah. Now I want to buy a jet from you, or you want to buy the jet from me.
Yeah, of course.
What
I can't travel a commercial.
With the plebes. So what you do is you have the Mona Lisa painting. Obviously, you don't own the Mona Lisa, but you have this extremely expensive painting transferred to me, and I transfer the jet to you.
Okay.
Right, and that's so those paintings and things are currencies.
Didn't they crash in volume though? Like I feel like actual paintings have a more stable value than
they
the
do.
NFTs
The NFTs, it was supposed to be kind of the digital equivalent, and it crashed. Now it'll come back, but it'll probably be tied to real paintings. So at the end of the day, anything is like $1 is only worth $1 because you agree that it's worth $1.
Yeah,
that's it, right? It's a mutual agreement. So the whole digital currency space is still the Wild West, but it's starting to become very real.
And you have to report even unrealized gains?
No, you don't have to report unrealized gains, but you do have to report your trades. You have to report your trades, and they are taxed with capital gains, just like if you were doing stocks or gold or anything else. And so the bank, that didn't used to be the case. And then as soon as the government realized the total volume that was happening, they were like, oh, crap, we're leaving a lot of money on the table. Okay, pass regulation. And the banks got pissed, and they said, well, because we're now not trading through Morgan Stanley or trading through a hedge fund or whatever, right? Now, Nic McKinley, nobody in Montana is trading at levels where I would normally have to go through a brokerage, and you don't need a license to do that. Well, the brokerages, I mean, you think JP Morgan has a say in what happens in our government? So they didn't like that. So between the banks and the insurance companies, now you don't need to have any insurance on any of that stuff. And then the traders who they have their licenses that you know, that's how they're making their money. Yeah. And so this whole system of trading happened that cut out the entire traditional system. And the traditional system had an immune response to that. So then they went to Congress and said, hey, this can't be. You got to get this under control. And our senators and congressmen do exactly what they've always done since probably the 40s, maybe the 30s. When private industry came to them with a problem, they said, roger that, and went ahead and changed the laws.
I'm not going to say JP Morgan has any influence. I'm not going to say that they don't, because I'm pretty sure they're a donor on the ballroom at the White House. Which people are losing their mind over that one. The White House actually does need a ballroom. I'm not an architect. I'm not here like the visual thing is not my deal. But like also the White House does need a ballroom. Do we really need, that's what I kind of land on too. The White House has been remodeled so many different times. It goes right back to the tribalism.
Yes.
Blue or red.
Yeah. If Obama would have made a ballroom, the right side would have freaked out. Well, Trump is making a ballroom, so the left side is freaking out. Like, it's predictable. And what's so funny is people don't understand like how foolish all of that is, right? So like, some of the stuff that we'll talk about is we have some major, major problems in this country. I mean, children dying at scale, and we're talking about a ballroom. We're talking about what
I think that might be intentional.
I think it is. I absolutely think it is.
It's tough to.
I'm about to find out.
Really?
Next year we'll probably be sitting here having a very different conversation.
Well, this episode should be titled "Andy and Nick Scared the Crap Out of Parents 2025" because we do it every year. So you're the one with the iPad. I mean, where do you even want to begin? You probably should explain, just to make it stand alone, DeliverFund and what you guys do.
So folks who haven't heard us before, I founded an organization called DeliverFund. We're the largest provider of data and intelligence on human trafficking cases across America. And so if you see in the news somebody arrested for human trafficking, there's arguably an 85+% chance that they're using our data. We also provide operational support to law enforcement. So that's where we have former child crimes detectives, CIA analysts, NSA analysts who we recruit out of the government. We give them a salary and benefits, and then they go embed in law enforcement task forces and catch bad guys. And we actually just put together some metrics for the last 5 years because I try to do this every 5 years because what gets measured gets improved, right? Yep. And the numbers actually were staggering. It was better than I had imagined. And I really have no credit for that. Like, I started DeliverFund, sure, really easy to come up with a good idea, right?
Yeah.
Very hard to execute. And I've had amazing team members and not so amazing team members. I've learned some serious lessons, but I've had some amazing team members and currently have some amazing team members that are making this happen. So just in the last 5 years, we've delivered 3,751 intelligence reports to law enforcement.
Is that on a victim or an abuser?
That is on a trafficker. If we are doing, so we are a trafficker-centric organization. So if we are delivering an intelligence report, it is tied to a very specific human trafficker.
Can we put all their names and faces on the internet?
Man, that would be amazing if we could.
I mean, if you were to like airdrop Michael something, I don't know what buttons he pushes over there.
But as soon as that happened,
any of the cases,
all the cases get messed up. And so and that's something I think it's important for people to understand. We're not freaking door kickers anymore. We don't do that, not because obviously we couldn't. Yeah. We do that because those are called committing felonies. And in the few cases where you can do that in conjunction with law enforcement, it's not scalable. It's like, okay, so you got one. Big freaking deal. What about the thousands more that are out there? So it's an intelligence game. Unless you're going to have a badge and a gun, it's an intelligence game. And so
it is one thing and I want to make sure that people listening this from our old career, because oftentimes the potato peeler is tongue in cheek, right?
Yeah.
I would absolutely love to have a pocket with that and I don't know if anything would bring me more joy if my full-time job was to just swing by your office in the morning, pick up a Target package.
And here you go.
Every day.
Go for
and
it.
Just go execute
just
that.
All day, every day.
But if you're looking at this type of world, because people with our background will be very interested because they think that's what it is, they have to realize that's not what you're getting into.
It's
you're
an
on the intelligence
game.
Side of the house. You're now enabling. You're the buy with and through, buddy.
We're the nerds. We're the nerds now.
That's a tough grate for people, especially if they think they're just going to be picking up the tip and off they go.
Great example is there's a guy, phenomenal human. I'm not going to say his name, but he's a hacker, and he was going after pedophile websites, and he was hacking into the sites.
I think I know who you're talking about.
Dumping whole sites, and then handing them over to the bureau, and the bureau's like, man, we can't do anything with this because like this is all like you committed a crime in order to get this, which means that all of this evidence, 100% of it, cannot be used in court.
A JV lawyer would get that stuff thrown out.
Yeah, what are we supposed to do with this? Nothing. And so the doing things the hard way is usually also the right way.
Yeah.
But at the end of the day, and I'll again, I'm just going to get your comments lit up with all the controversial things I'm going to say. It is disrespectful for former SOF and intelligence personnel to go to law enforcement and say, all right, cops, let us show you how to do this job. Because every time they put their hands on somebody, they're potentially facing assault charges. Every time they shoot somebody, they're potentially facing murder charges. I mean, I remember, right, agency and military days, I mean, especially towards the end of the war, if someone got shot, normally you weren't even talking about it unless like something funny happened or somebody like really screwed something up and got lucky and it was like, hey, we need to debrief this. But otherwise, you were never on murder charges for the most part, right?
Or even shooter statements. I mean, towards the tail end, then you're going back to 6-7 page, what led up to it, the whole how the 5 dubs, all that stuff, explaining your actions. And not that you didn't, I mean, you should have always had those justifications when you took those actions, but earlier on, it was less paid attention to, I guess would be the polite way to say it.
That was only on like planned direct action stuff. What about when you were just in a tick that was an ambush? I mean,
you just went with your day.
Yeah, and people are just getting put down on a hillside.
Yeah.
No one's freaking counting anything. No one's like asking for debriefs when you got back. It was like, okay, everybody lived, or oh man, so and so's
towards the tail end
in the roll 3 or whatever.
Yeah, if towards the tail end, if you called a tick, which for people listening stands for troops in contact, it's a call you make over the radio. It's actually really wild to see if you're in a tactical operations center, that radio, because they're listening to a variety of nets.
Right,
I think there was like some of the bigger ones.
It depends on where you are too.
Yeah, like down in Kandahar though. I mean, my God, they were listening to so much stuff. But somebody says of the radio troops in contact, everything else kind of gets dropped.
Yeah.
Assets get sent over there. And that's the importance of making that call. But then behind that, towards the tail end, there was a lot more. They were asking for those things. And, maybe rightfully so. Maybe they should have the entire time.
I left, let me see, when was the last time I was in Afghanistan? It was like 2012, beginning of 2013. So the rest of the time I was all in the I can't say, but North Africa, places north of India.
I mean, that's kind of same.
Places like that.
That's kind
North
of
Africa is a
same.
big place. There's a lot of places north of India. Anyway, it's
true.
But there, you don't have assets that are on a 5-minute standby getting ready to launch. I mean, you don't have any of that stuff, and you're on your own. And even then, it was just like we had guys who, as an example, they in a place somewhere on Earth, they end up getting into an ambush that an asset set up, and the freaking lawyers, because it's always the lawyers, the government lawyers. So the government lawyers at an organization decided that we couldn't carry frag grenades because those were offensive weapons. Like, that's really interesting. But we could carry flashbangs because those were defensive weapons. Like, that's really
carry a pistol or rifle?
Yeah. Oh, but they also said that we could carry 40-millimeter grenade launchers because those were being used defensively. I don't even try to figure out what they were thinking.
Well,
right?
how did they justify your pistol and rifle?
Well, of course, what did we do? We've got frags on us.
Yeah.
So guys ended up using a frag to. There's huge crowds around the car. It was a very actually well planned ambush. Dudes dumping an AK into the window, which luckily was level 7. Right.
Yeah. Still quite emotional.
Yeah. And so the car was disabled. They had to get out of there, and they couldn't get out on the non-contact side because of the amount of people there.
Oh boy!
And so they managed to, between two of them, get the door open enough to drop a frag, close the door. It's level 7, right? So smart move.
Level 7 for people listening is an armor rating.
Yeah, it's a very high level of armor rating. Most of your cash trucks and things, I think, are level 3 or level 4, right? So they drop a frag. Tends to clear some people out, and they get the door open. Well, they're given their debrief, and of course, no one ever asked a question. Everybody came back alive. That's really all that mattered. And so it was just a completely different environment than law enforcement. Mm-hmm. So I used to do a lot of training for law enforcement for Greg Jackson, and I stopped doing it because I'd be training a law enforcement officer, and they'd be like, "Oh yeah, it's against policy. We can't do that. Oh, we can't do that. Oh, we can't do that." And I was just like, man, I'm just going to get these guys in trouble. And so what does law enforcement need help doing? Well, they can't go do surveillance or go kick in a door, rescue a victim, and do intelligence work simultaneously. So we do the intelligence work, and then they do the action guy stuff. But more importantly, through some recent technical partnerships, we're now distributing data to over 1,200 law enforcement agencies. That's over 8,000 individual law enforcement officers for free, thanks to the donations. Thanks to our donors. So we're distributing it. So we've had, just in the last 6 months, we've had almost 1 million searches of our data through law enforcement. Right. So
that's
over
disturbing.
980,000 of those. But not every time are you going to get a hit.
I know, but what I mean is it's disturbing because your data is pretty specific.
It's very specific.
For genre.
But what's important about that is these aren't manual searches. So if you have, we're actually integrating our data into law enforcement platforms. So if you have a narcotics detective who's doing a case, and he inputs a phone number to see who it attributes back to.
Little Venn diagram overlap.
It automatically checks ours. And to see is there trafficking potentially related in this? So what we've done is we've taken away the law enforcement officer's ability to have to remember I need to go check this database and check this database, and I'm going to check this database in case there might be trafficking. We've automated that whole thing. So out of the 980,000 plus individual phone numbers that have been searched over the last 6 months, we have had 2,726 cases, human trafficking cases, that were created that had nothing to do with us. Our analysts weren't involved. So that's fighting trafficking at scale. So, but think about this. This is why this is really important. Over the last 5 years, 3,751 intelligence reports to law enforcement. That is our analysts involved. Just in the last 6 months, 2,726.
Oh, wow.
Right. So now we're talking about actually getting to the bottom of this problem at scale. And that's, I think, the thing that everybody has to realize is this is a scale issue. Anonymity on the internet has made it so that a 40-year-old man can pretend to be a 16-year-old boy and start contacting a 14-year-old girl and sextort her or somehow get control of her and then start trafficking her. And they can do that extremely low barrier to entry, right? It costs almost no money for them to do that. Yeah. And so it's essentially pure profit for them once they get the girl under control, other than what it takes to keep a human alive, which they barely do. So when you look at the scale problem, there, human beings involved in this. I mean, if DeliverFund had to be involved in every single case, well, it'd take us another 5 years to probably get another 4,000 intelligence reports out to law enforcement. Now, next year, we'll probably have 5,000 to 8,000 intelligence reports that are generated through our data and intelligence systems, which are all a bunch of AI and machine learning and biometrics and all in-house built. That's
creeping up on 10 to 15 a day.
Yeah. Yeah. Well, this will really blow your skirt up. So over the last 5 years, we've been personally, like as in DeliverFund analysts, have been embedded in 164 human trafficking task force operations. That's a lot. And some of those operations last 3 days and some of them last 10 days, right? Known human traffickers arrested, 314. That's almost one a week.
Do you think that's substantial or a drop in the bucket?
I don't think it matters.
I'm just curious about how big you think this issue is.
Well, we'll get into that because it's evolving and it's changing. And that's kind of part of our strategy is the way that we were fighting trafficking 3, 4, 5 years ago is not the same way we do it today.
Because I guess they're learning and evolving.
Yeah.
Shocker. Where have we seen that before?
If whatever you're doing to fight trafficking, if it doesn't evolve and have the ability to evolve in near real time with the way that the bad guys change their TTPs, then you're ultimately going to fail.
That's not true, Nick. We should always do hostage rescue bullets.
That should be our primary focus is what do we do? Hostage rescue.
If there's a hostage or not, you go.
Yeah. So
you know how slow we were to adapt to that one?
Yeah. So 314 traffickers arrested. That's essentially one a week every week for the last 5 years. Known.
That's way more than one a week because there's only 52 weeks per year. That'd be 6 per week.
Oh, yeah, that's right. Thank you.
It's almost one a day.
Almost one a day.
Yeah, but you chose to take it into weeks. Please don't make me do math again.
All right.
I'm not good at it.
That was your one time.
Yeah.
You're done. Known human trafficking adult victims. So adults that were freed from our operations, 821 over the last 5 years. That's just the known ones. So oftentimes, and this is kind of part of the whole strategy, why we're so trafficker-centric, is we want that detective to get access to that trafficker's electronic devices. And then we want him to rip those devices and find out how many other victims are there.
Are you finding anybody that is trying to combat the electronic nature of this by going old school?
No.
I was going to say at this point, right, they're beholden to these devices, which can give, like you said, you do the rip, and there's a variety of different levels you can pull, and you guys have some tools that
so
can get to the brass tacks of what's going on.
Yeah, we don't ever once the trafficker's identified, we're out. Now we might continue to help provide electronic intelligence. Yeah. But we don't do anything else because it's important that a law enforcement officer rips that phone or their crime analyst does so that...
What a treasure trove of information, though.
Yeah.
That's why I asked if anybody was going old school, because that's the only way you're going to beat that.
It's the only way you're going to beat it, and if they do that, they won't make any money.
Yeah.
And we win.
Win-win. Okay.
Yeah, so it's a Hobson's choice. Doesn't matter if they go left or right, we win.
Okay.
And that's the way the whole system is set up. Known juvenile victims, 435 over the last 5 years, right? So that's over 1,250 human trafficking victims that have been freed over the last 5 years, just the known ones.
Yeah.
And keep in mind, these are active law enforcement investigations. We're not law enforcement. So sometimes we have detectives that we have great relationships with or prosecutors, and they'll say, hey, just want to let you know, can't get too into the details, but here was the outcome of that rip. but 98% of the time they don't communicate back to us. One, they have no incentive to do that, and two, they're putting the whole case at risk if they do.
That's fair.
So we think there are actually significantly more juvenile victims. That number is probably 3 or 4x, maybe 5x. It's just that law enforcement legally cannot communicate with us about a juvenile, right? Known human trafficking customers arrested, right? So these are the customers. We don't focus on customers, but every time we have an opportunity to go after them, obviously we do.
I mean, it's part of the equation.
Yeah. 1,132. So pretty crazy. And then law enforcement officers and prosecutors, we've trained 1,592. So we're talking about serious scale that we've been doing over the last 5 years, and now that's getting ready to go to a whole new level. So that's kind of the good news.
Before you get into the bad news, what's it look like when a customer, are we talking about charges? Are we talking about just getting exposed to where they live? Both of those things?
Depends on where it's at.
What's the average impact you think in one of their life?
It depends on where it's at. You can't really average it out because in California, they're like slap on the wrist, they let them go. In Florida, you're potentially looking at a life sentence. Like it's
okay.
That,
those are very different options.
Yeah, it's that big. If it is a federal human trafficking case that they can tie into a customer, it probably is a juvenile victim. And so there is child sexual abuse material, which is not really an economic incentive. It's more of a, sick pleasure incentive for that customer. I don't agree with this, but they'll hit them with human trafficking charges because the human trafficking law actually says that if the victim is a minor, it's automatic. It can automatically be a human trafficking charge. But human trafficking in itself, academically, is when one person is really getting the economic benefit of the labor of another person, right? So slavery.
Yeah.
That labor tends to be commercial sex in nature, primarily in America. There's this growing narrative on the internet that, the labor trafficking is a higher percentage of human trafficking than commercial sex activity. That's just not true. And that is a narrative that's being paid for and driven by the pornography industry because the Pornhubs of the world don't want you to know how much of their pornography is actually human trafficking victims being exploited against their will. The pornography industry writ large doesn't want you to know that, and they don't obviously want to pay attention to that. So they spend their considerable resources trying to change the public narrative to say, oh no, most human trafficking is people being forced to pick potatoes in Idaho against their will, which there is a part of that. But it's, really, we're talking apples and oranges. Now, those people, especially if they're women, do tend to be sexually exploited as well. So the predominant form of human trafficking in America is commercial sex trafficking. So when you look at...
So we're done with the good.
Yeah. So when you look at the way that all comes together, it's like, all right. So but think about it. If we did 3,751 intelligence reports, right? So those are identified human traffickers, but there was 314 arrests. So let's just make the math easy. Call it 10%.
Yeah.
Why? Well, there's a couple of reasons for it. One is a lot of prosecutors don't know how to do trafficking cases. You look at, yes, in New York, Chicago, LA, big law enforcement agencies, dedicated prosecutors. What about Flathead County, Montana?
Couldn't tell you. I would assume not as well.
So you know a little bit about a trafficking case that was happening here. Mm-hmm. What the local
I've chatted with you about it.
What the local prosecutor do about it?
I'm not aware of anything being done at all.
Nothing.
Yeah.
So if the feds don't adopt the case, nothing happens.
So what does that mean? They just continue to operate in literally plain sight if you know what you're looking for?
Yep. That's exactly what that means. So one of the tools that we're building is an AI tool that we call the AI prosecutor that actually helps a rural prosecutor be able to load their case data and see what their prosecutorial options are and be able to actually successfully prosecute that case. Because a lot of prosecutors don't want to win or don't want to lose on their record because they've got ambitions, political ambitions or whatever.
So you're saying it's literally a lack of understanding of what to do. Isn't that part of their job?
Well, so yes, I think theoretically you're right. But let's also give them a little bit of grace here. That's like saying that a doctor who is a neurosurgeon also needs to be able to do foot surgery
or take out kidneys. No, I get it. It's it just sucks, especially when, I mean, obviously we're talking around something, but yeah, it's consumer facing, plain as day where we live. Yeah,
and so when you have but I would actually put that back on, in this case, the Montana State Legislature or the federal legislature. Why are our laws so complicated that a prosecutor has to be a specialist in a certain type of prosecution?
Yeah, a minor in Greek.
Why? Yeah. Why did why has our senators and congressmen set the system up to be that complicated? That's a whole other conversation.
Do we need to get our tinfoil hats out again?
No, I don't know why. I don't know why, but it's one of the biggest problems we have is our system is legally so complicated.
Well, I don't think legal language has ever been super clear and
job security for lawyers.
I mean, if you think, I mean, even back in the days, right, when they're writing, look at the language in the Constitution, right? It was more colorful, it was more verbose, it was definitely a richer language. Legal language has always been, to me, dense, not in a bad way, but sometimes hard to understand.
Yeah, and
so I just don't think that's changed.
I don't think it's changed, but I also think it's by design. Because, I mean, lawyers kind of run our country. Yeah. They really do. And especially trial lawyers associations and things like that. So, I mean, are you gonna put the rules in your favor, in your friend's favor, or are you gonna take them out of your favor? And if it was so easy that everybody could understand it and everybody could do it, well, then why would you need a lawyer? Yeah. I mean, it makes sense. So
it does, unfortunately.
So I think that's a lot of the problem here, and so ultimately it's why I'll kind of go back to what I originally said. Anonymity on the internet is the biggest problem, not privacy. I mean, I will find a bigger privacy person than me, but I don't think people should be allowed to open anonymous bank accounts because that's a really good way to launder money. Would there be benefits to anonymous bank accounts? Sure, absolutely there could be, but do the cons outweigh the pros?
Not in my opinion.
Oh yeah. So I mean, if you think about bank accounts, are a great example, right? How about anonymity? With vehicle registrations. I mean, license plates ultimately are probably a good thing, and we get a lot of crime solved because they got the license plate number.
Oh, for sure.
Right, a lot of it. Well, if we did away with that, and now everybody's just anonymous, people are going to act the way they do on the internet. They're just going to act in that way publicly. So what the problem we have on the internet is that you and Michael could go start 5 Facebook accounts right now without going on VPNs, none of that, right? He could use burner numbers that come from and the burner number phone companies. They're the worst offenders of all, worst offenders. And I'm not going to say their name publicly just because I just don't want to deal with another lawsuit
or driving business.
That's a good point. But there's a company that we figured out where their company is 51% of the phone numbers that are tied to commercial sex advertisements is being hosted by one company. One. So if they're 51% of the phone numbers on commercial sex advertisements, what are the chances that they're also, let's call it 50-ish% of the burner phone numbers that are leading to fentanyl deaths, or that are leading to illegal gun sales or any other illicit commodity that we're dealing with? So when we look at what we've been doing for the last 10 years, 11 years now, coming up on 12, I look at the entire market, and we've been working down here. So think about it this way. And we learned this in the War on Terror, right? So this is going to make a lot of sense to you. So all illicit commodity markets are linear, right? You can't, it's not a cycle. You can't enter a market anywhere, right? I can't buy a cup of coffee and then discover the coffee shop.
Correct.
I've got to discover the coffee shop. I've got to figure out a way to get in there. I've got to have a method of payment already pre-established, right? That could just be cash, your cryptocurrencies, whatever. I've got to actually get inside. I've got to order the cup of coffee. I've got to make payment. Ultimately, that business is going to have to file taxes as their regulatory duty, right? That whole thing. So the war, we learned in the War on Terror that it was the same way, right? Originally, we were just trying to kill bad guys. And they're like, well, wait a minute. Who's making the bomb? Who's sewing the vest? Who's doing that? And then we started going upstream and we started killing those guys.
Yep.
And then all the cyber dudes started doing all their disruption stuff, right, on the recruiting side. So there's 10 points of disruption on in any illicit commodity market. And anybody who's an economic nerd and wants to look at like Markov chain models and things, you literally just go to my website, which is nicmckinley.com, and I want to say it's /10 points. And put in your email at the bottom, and you can download a 23-page graduate paper that I wrote on this. Full referenced. Nobody's ever said my math is wrong. If you find my math is wrong, please let me know privately. Anyway, so imagine a human trafficker. What they do is they've got to recognize a market opportunity. So they go, oh, that human trafficker is making a lot of money. Seems pretty easy. I'm going to do the same thing. And oftentimes they'll actually collaborate. And they'll do a business deal with it. The young trafficker will do a business deal with the old trafficker and say, hey, I'll give you 20% of everything I make if you teach me what they call the game. So they recognize the market opportunity. Now they have to get access to communications. They have to find customers. They have to communicate with those customers. They also have to communicate with the product. They have to transport the product. They have to get, they have to perform the service. So that's really hotels and motels for the most part, Airbnbs, Verbos, those, temporary lodging facilities. Then they have to receive payment, put the payment in the bank. Ultimately, they're not filing taxes, but there's some type of regulatory authority there. Well, imagine that as a 100-meter sprint. Mm-hmm. The trafficker is trying to sprint 100 meters. We have this little hurdle at the end that we call law enforcement and regulatory authorities. What we just showed you, it's about 5-ish% effective. We don't actually think it's quite 5%. It's probably more like 2 to 3%. Mm-hmm. If we maximize that and we just said, okay, we're going to get it to 5%, well, that means the trafficker has a 95% chance of success. Pretty good odds.
Yeah.
If you add a hurdle at every single point of transaction, if you just make it 20% effective, which is failure. I mean, you think about it. Something's only 20% effective, that's failure. You make it 20% effective, cumulative mathematics works. That trafficker ends up with a 96.3% chance of getting caught.
Just by
in the system,
titrating out those hurdles.
Right.
Okay.
So now if they manage to get the fake book account, right, the fake social media account, well, they're probably going to get caught in their communications. And if they manage to get through the communications, they're going to get caught in the transport. And if they manage to get caught in the transport, they're going to, their Vrbo or Airbnb or Marriott reservation is going to get denied, right? And so, and on and on and on. I mean, we had a trafficker in California who showed up in a Turo, right? I lease Turos when I travel for business because it's awesome, right? Yeah. It's way better than the rental car service. And so, well, the trafficker was doing exactly the same thing.
Isn't that just somebody's personal car that they rent?
Okay. Yeah. So somebody's personal car that they rented out was used in a human trafficking operation.
I mean, they need transportation just like anybody else. They're going to take you at the lowest degree of pushback.
And so what happened to that, but also what happened to that individual's Turo? It was a BMW. It's sitting in an impound lot because it's part of a case. So now they're not, and if they've got debt on it, now they're still making payments. So you can see how like this actually affects everybody.
Yeah.
So we can literally flip the odds by starting to work more and more with industry, which we are starting to go after the companies that are facilitating this, but also pointing out to people like where's the go no go points. Right. There are things that you can do on, say, Instagram. I don't think your kids should be on Instagram, but eventually they're going to become teenagers. And so they're going to get their Instagram, whether they leave the house and do it or they do it still under your roof. So you've got to teach them. But there are things like we'll get into Roblox is a great example.
Dude, I've read a lot of articles about this.
Where it recently. It is just a full, like, there is no go beyond this point. If you allow your children, especially after listening to the stuff that we're going to talk about, you allow your children to play Roblox and they end up being one of these victims, that's on you. That is you made a conscious choice to allow your child to become a victim of a predator. And
it's a tough statement.
it's a true statement.
Yeah,
it is a true statement because I've changed my mind on some things over the last couple of years based on one, research that I'm doing for some of my other businesses, but then two, based on what we're seeing in the data at DeliverFund. And I used to think that pretty much any system was recoverable, and in that, like, if you just do these things, 99% chance your kid is going to be safe. I've changed my mind on that after learning.
It's a good academic principle.
Huh?
It's a good academic principle.
Yeah.
The real world likes to give you the old "gah" to the academic principles.
Yeah, but it's true. I just have learned the technical background on what's happening behind some of these platforms, and there are some. Instagram is a great example that I think can be recovered. Roblox is irrecoverable. The only way to protect kids is to boycott Roblox. And yes, I just said that publicly. Boycott Roblox.
Get into it. What are you seeing on that platform since we're on that topic?
Yeah. All right. So we'll jump right into it. All right. So first and foremost, people need to understand they are coming for your kids. Like, they are. That is not a conspiracy theory. You can leave the tinfoil.
Well, that one makes sense because predators go to the environment
where the kids are,
where the prey, whether this is in the wild kingdom or human beings who are broken and are looking to victimize kids, that shouldn't shock anybody.
And they're going to go to the ones that have the lowest risk.
Yeah, and if you don't want to get bitten by a shark, even though your odds are very low, you can swim in Flathead Lake, not the ocean.
Right. I mean, yeah. And if you're going to swim in the ocean, maybe not off the coast of Australia.
Yeah. Or the Golden Triangle or Red Triangle in Santa Cruz.
Yeah, that's it.
But if you don't go in the ocean, your odds of encountering a shark are
zero.
Really, really low. You'd have to have a horrendous accident at an aquarium of some kind that would definitely
you're
make
going to be in a
news.
museum.
Yeah.
Yeah, for sure. People will tell stories about you.
100%.
So the first thing I want to get into as an example, have you heard of this group 764?
No.
All right. So 764, what is it? A satanic cult group where the currency of the group is extreme violence.
Okay.
So think about that. Like, everybody just take a minute to digest that, because those are words we rarely use all in the same sentence combined. Yeah. So I just said that they are coming for your kids, and there's a group that is a satanic cult group that's focused on extreme violence. Who are they focused on extreme violence against? Your kids, right? So I had to write a lot of this down because this was the things that I've learned over the last few months enrage me, and it's very difficult for my thinking brain to work properly and remember things properly when I get this worked up. So what they do is this
is on Roblox.
So this is on Roblox, Minecraft, and Discord are your three biggest offenders. Now,
and Discord kind of connects both Minecraft and Roblox because it's how they communicate.
Yeah, it's a lot of the communications.
And the other one, they're
So the way this tends to typically work is they're on a game. Your child is on a game like Roblox, and then they meet somebody on the game, and in order to get around filters and things like that, they go over to Discord.
And this is like Battlefield and all the first-person shooters. Like, I commonly hear people talking about Discord in video games.
Right.
So
but
this is super
the first-person shooter games aren't really the target-rich environment.
Yeah.
Because the first-person shooter games, there's a lot of adults on there.
No. I mean, it's super common to hear these two things.
To hear them together. Yeah.
To hear them together.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Absolutely. Now, Discord, I mean, why they don't just go to WhatsApp or Signal or something like that. Like, there's Discord with these secure servers. Tons of child sexual abuse material that gets passed there. Lots of extremism that gets passed there. And so the 764 group, they have a lot of intersection between like neo-Nazism and then what's called Order of Nine, which is like a satanic church. So this is this like singularity of like all the bad things kind of coming together. What's really sick is it was started by a 15-year-old kid in Texas. So this isn't coming from Russia. This is coming from the United States of America. Now, a lot of it has permeated overseas. The FBI is telling you that there's roughly 3,000-ish members.
How does
hackers,
a 15-year-old start that? Why would
incredibly, obviously, Machiavellian mindset.
Some people
just
come
very
out of the
evil.
Box broken, man.
Yeah, just incredibly evil.
Wow.
If you were anti-death penalty, you may not be after this conversation. So, what do? They find kids primarily on Roblox, Minecraft, and Discord. And there's a very specific reason they do that. Because if I ask you, Michael, what is Roblox? Do you have any idea?
Yeah, it's like a video game
for who?
Well, kids primarily.
There you go.
Yeah.
It's a building game, right? Same kind of same thing as Minecraft.
Yeah. So it's not a game. It's an infrastructure that other people can build games inside of.
Okay.
Now, I've got apps that my companies have deployed on the App Store. I'll tell you, it is a pain to get an app on the App Store.
Yeah, I bet.
They review your code, and Apple will just tell you. Google is actually even harder for some apps. They'll just tell you, "Oh, no, we don't like that. You can't have that feature." Okay. If you want to be on the App Store, you got to remove the feature.
To the kingdom.
Yeah, you have zero leverage in this situation, and then
because they really don't care if your app's on the App Store.
No, not at all.
Yeah.
And then they're like, "Yeah, we're taking 30 cents on every dollar for the first year."
You're welcome.
Yeah, you're welcome. We're allowing you to be on our platform. We might up that. We might not. Plan accordingly.
We'll let you know.
Yeah. So Roblox is kind of the same way, right? It's like the App Store, and then people can build individual apps. Now, the way that it works is that if you're a developer, which is not hard to learn to develop things on Roblox, you don't need to be a computer engineer for this. I mean, kids are doing it, and so if you develop a game, you publish the game. There's no review.
You're publishing it inside of
Roblox.
Okay, so you're a layer deep into the onion.
Yeah. So Roblox just lets the game get published. So, like as an example, when Charlie Kirk was assassinated, within days there were first-person shooter games in Roblox where you could reenact Charlie Kirk assassinations.
Come on.
No, there are.
How is this pitched as a kids game? Not the Charlie Kirk one aside, but Roblox
That's a great question. That is a great question. We'll get into that.
Because I thought, until you said it was an environment to make things, I honestly, I in my head, I went to Minecraft, which is a world where you have blocks or whatever. And I don't know, that's my own. I've never played it, but I've watched my kids play it. When they did, they're no longer interested.
Sure.
I thought Roblox was a complete game in and of itself.
That's what I thought too. And I only started looking into this because we started to see specific mentions of Roblox within human trafficking advertisements. And I was like, that's weird. Why is this happening? Right. And so you had these human trafficking advertisements where you had traffickers posing as like prostitutes or something like that, saying, "Hey, hit me up on Roblox or Minecraft or whatever at these gamer tags."
Interesting.
Well, that's really interesting. So like all the people who are like, "Oh, human trafficking is just prostitution, and Nick is just this right-wing Christian who's trying to keep us from having our fun." No, we know from the data that roughly 80% of what people think is prostitution is actually human trafficking. Like we know that definitively. So, I actually saw Rogan was saying that he thinks prostitution should be legalized. That makes a lot of sense. And I actually used to think the same thing. I mean, doesn't it make sense to be like, oh, let's just legalize prostitution. We'll tax it. We'll regulate it. And that'll do away with human trafficking. I mean, I used to think the same thing.
I understand the motivation behind it because you think it would remove the people.
Yeah, just bring it out in the open.
Yeah,
right?
Instead of being in the shadows. If you want to do that, it's the same thing as, drugs. Let's legalize all drugs. There'll be less crime to fight. People can live their life in a laissez-faire fashion. I understand it's an altruistic motivation behind it, I think.
Yeah.
But again, that's an academic principle that I'm not sure the real world fleshes out very well.
So I started looking into the data on the prostitution issue. Like, it's not even up for debate. Every single country, and even small area like Rhode Island that had legalized prostitution ends up with an increase in human trafficking. It is linearly predictable. It happens every single time. And we're not talking like Liberty University did the study. I mean, these are Harvard studies. These are very, very well established, even liberal academic institutions that are saying, hey, this is actually a really bad idea. The solution is something called decriminalization, but that's not what we're here to talk about. So this group 764, what they do is they target children. That's their goal, and they're very specifically trying to target somewhere between 12 and 14 years old. How do we know this? Because they have manuals that they've created where they're distributing their best practices for grooming children to get them under control.
Through Roblox.
Through Roblox, Minecraft, Discord, other games as well.
Awesome.
In fact, they actually were putting out advertisements on X for specifically directed at kids who needed mental health counseling. Kid would click the link, they would start mental health counseling them, and eventually then manipulate them and get them to do things that they would, well, we'll get into what they do. And just a disclaimer, parents, if your kids are listening, things are going to get...
If you're dropping your kids off at school, maybe put it on pause.
Yeah.
Pick it back up when you're by yourself.
Yeah, but also things are going to get gross, and I'm torn on this because we need to have age-appropriate conversations with our kids on one hand, but also we need to help them understand that like these are some very real life-altering things that are happening. And even if like my kid, we're a screen-free house. My family, we send our kids to a screen-free school. In fact, my kids' school, remember the old projectors with the vis-a-vis markers and stuff? Yeah, they still use those. Love it. There's not even a TV on the wall in their classrooms.
Nerd alert.
Yeah, which is awesome.
Do you make your kids sew their own clothing?
No, not yet.
They churn their own
But
butter. Do you have a cow?
They will. No.
They milk?
My wife really wants one.
You can milk anything with nipples, Greg. I have nipples. Can you milk me?
Anyway, so 764, they have this playbook that they use. And first is they specifically primarily target girls, but increasingly boys. And you remember our conversation last year, we're seeing an increase in sextortion of boys.
Yeah.
That increase in sextortion of boys is still continuing. It's just that for a lot of the boys, it's going after kids that are like don't have any friends, they don't have any community. They're very purposely trying to find the kid who's already isolated. Yeah. Just like what happens with the gazelles and the lions in the wild, totally. Right? So they're trying to find the kids who are isolated. They manipulate them, and then eventually the very first thing that they're looking for is they want to get a nude from the child. Once they get the nude from the child, they start to sextort them. But what's primarily happening with the sextortion over the last year has been money related, right? It's a scammer in Nigeria. They're trying to get $100, $500, whatever the case is. What's really scary about these guys is that they are doing this for notoriety. So and so like if you were to pay them or the scammers in Nigeria, for the most part, they're probably not going to actually do the thing that they say they're going to do, which is, we're going to distribute these nudes to your school and post them on Facebook and stuff like that. Right. These guys are. They absolutely will do that. And we've seen a number of kids committing suicide because of that. So they get the nudes, and then they don't try to get money from them. They try to get them to do things. It starts with hurting themselves or cutting themselves. And when I say cutting, I'm not talking about like, scratching into their arm with a staple. Where I'm talking like with knives, cutting like 764 deeply into their bodies. Or somebody's handle or name into their bodies. They'll try to get the young girls to do it like into their breasts, arms, things like that. So they try to get them to do that. Then once they get them to do that, they escalate it to usually hurting or killing an animal. So they'll the whole time during the grooming process, as they're developing this relationship, and they're patient. They are patient. They will take months. They'll take a year to do this. What they'll do is they'll get all this information. Do you have pets? All of those things. And then they'll try to get them to hurt or kill a pet or a neighbor's pet, right? They'll try to get them to do something to an animal. And once they get them to do something to an animal, then their ultimate goal is to try to get them to kill one of their family members or somebody else.
What?
Yeah. Yeah, they're ultimately trying to get these children to commit murder. Now, that's hard. Now, it does happen.
I would hope so.
It does happen, but usually what they take as kind of the consolation prize is get the child to kill themselves, which is usually the direction that this goes. So during that period of time, if they can get a kid who will do all of these things, but they won't kill themselves or hurt anybody else, and they've kind of like got them to that level, but they can control them, get them to do whatever they want, then they'll sell them to each other. So they'll say, hey, $1,200. I have an 11-year-old girl who, will cut herself on demand and will commit sexual acts on video. And then they'll sell that to another member, and then they'll go try to recruit another one, or they'll go sell them to pedophiles or things like that. And so literally, as I understand it, it is, the pedophile buys the child, and then the 764 member says, hey, you now work for him. And now the child will do whatever the pedophile wants him to do.
Is there any examples of where there's real world crossover and these two people meet?
Oh, yeah. Yeah. And so oftentimes what will happen is just like we see in human trafficking. Now, that whole selling of that is human trafficking. Like that is like now you have somebody with a economic incentive. And to me, I think one of the biggest when people are trying to figure out like what is human trafficking and what is just sick pedophile behavior, even though under the law they can be combined for academic purposes, that's not real helpful. So to me, it's when there's an economic incentive. So when it goes from child exploitation to human trafficking to child trafficking is when that economic incentive comes along. But before that, there was no economic incentive. Yeah. There's plenty of cases where 764 members have then met up with other members, and now they kind of recruit them into the 764 organization. And as they do that, they actually have these basically counterintelligence methods is what they are to try to keep the cops out, where you have to commit a crime in order to get into these forums. And we've seen that over history in the pedophile forums, where you have to bring in, child sexual abuse material in order to get your bona fides. Yeah, in order to get let in to the servers. So,
how big would you estimate the 764 group is?
The Bureau says they're about 3,000 to 4,000 people. Hackers I know say they're somewhere between 20 and 30,000.
That's a lot of really twisted people.
A lot of really twisted people. Hence the reason. Now, keep in mind, this entire thing is driven by anonymity on the internet. You make anonymity on the internet go away, not privacy. Anonymity, where you say have to show an ID in order to get your account. Mm-hmm. This whole thing goes away.
You don't think they find a way around it?
You're always going to have people who find a way around things, but you're going to diminish it.
It would be a hurdle that looks like a net, and you would just be stacking people up inside of that net.
Yep. Okay. Yeah. This goes away significantly, right? So, all right, where were we? So they create these things called lure books, which is all of these different.
What are you doing, Michael?
Your sign went off.
Today's episode is brought to you by Shopify. Do you have an idea? Have you had an idea that has been nagging at you, a business idea, and you want to jump in and take an idea from inception to execution, and you want to play in the digital ecosystem and see if your idea holds water? Your business, your idea, both of those things, and in person perhaps as well too. If that's you, 2026, don't wait any longer, because 2027 is going to be around the corner in 28, and then you're going to look back with regret. Let's do this. Let's go pedal to the floor 2026 using Shopify to create your business for the world to see and find. This is such an easy ad read for me because I have gone through this process in Journey, and I am not a tech guy. I understand how to turn on a laptop. I am limited very much so by the things that I see. I don't understand AI. I don't understand coding. I don't understand graphics and imagery and all of those things. And that's okay, because I was able to make my own business website years ago using Shopify. I'm still hosted with them today. Shopify gives you everything you need to sell online and in person. Millions of entrepreneurs have already made this leap from household names to first-time business owners that are just getting started. Shopify is going to give you all the tools to easily build your dream store. You can choose from hundreds of beautiful templates that you can customize to match your brand. And that is exactly what I did. They have free templates and premium templates. I purchased a premium template, and thankfully, this couldn't be easier. What do you want it to look like? Where would you like some imagery? Where would you like the text? And of course, you can modify all of these things. Multiple pages, hyperlinks. And I'm talking about this stuff like I know what it is. No, I used this tool to create the website that I have now. Setup is easy and fast with Shopify's built-in AI tools that write product descriptions and headlines and help you edit product photos. Marketing is built in as well. You can create email and social campaigns that reach customers wherever they scroll. And as you grow, Shopify can grow with you. You can handle more orders, expand to new markets, and do it all from the same dashboard. I have experience with all of this. I cannot recommend it enough. It's about to be 2026. Stop waiting and start selling with Shopify. Sign up for your $1 per month trial and start selling today at shopify.com/clearedhot. That is shopify.com/clearedhot. One more time, shopify.com/clearedhot. Hear your first cha-ching Shopify sales sound this new year with Shopify by your side. Back to the show. Maybe it's broken.
It might be. I think it is.
Okay.
Carry on.
Well, you're in the camera frame, so we can't. That's okay. That sign was getting ready to be retired in about 2 weeks anyway.
Perfect.
All right, well, there you go.
I don't know what you did, but we'll call it your fault somehow that happened.
Came here.
Sorry, people, I don't have a
Last
glowing
one in the
light.
studio. Broke your sign. Wait till you see what I do next.
Well, you didn't break the sign. Your information did because it's
Yeah.
so ridiculously disgusting that the
Yeah.
sign was like, I don't want to hear any more of this.
I'm out.
Yeah.
So they create these things called lure books. These 764 members do, and what it is it's trying to, all this stuff that we talked about. They're just getting more and more dirt on the individual, which leads to, right? I mean, we're talking young kids here,
Yeah.
So it leads to more and more control
it's
of
just
that
more
individual,
leverage, yeah.
right? So they think that okay, if I kill my cat, these guys are going to leave me alone. And what's crazy about this whole notoriety thing, right? It's that they want them to kill the cat on camera and hold up like a sign with somebody's like username or a 764 or one of the like any of the splinter groups that come out of those things. And so like that's ultimately what they're looking for. And how do you fight that? You can't fight it really economically. So your options are pretty limited.
Yeah, that's all about control.
Yeah, absolutely. And so, anyway, we talked about them selling these kids virtually. So that's kind of what's happening with this group. But what I think it's really important, and the reason I started with that, is that group is a symptom of what we're about to talk about, which is Roblox, Minecraft, Discord, internet anonymity. Like that's the symptom. And for all you privacy Nazis out there are like, well, that's just the price of having privacy. Like, shame on you. Like, you're bad people. If the price of you thinking that Big Brother is listening to your phone calls or staying, completely anonymous on the internet is that, children are, committing suicide, being raped, being exploited, like, sorry, that's a price I'm not willing to pay. And I really question the morals and ethics of anybody who is willing to pay that price, right?
Yeah.
Is willing to accept that price. So
they're willing to accept that price unless you were to confront them with it was one of their kids or family members that was being victimized or that would lose their life because of that.
Yeah. And I think that we will see, unfortunately, this is eventually going to happen to the wrong person's kid. And they're going to have nothing left. And it's going to be someone like us. And it's going to make Man on Fire look like a follow documentary. Like, that's going to happen.
I'm considering writing that fiction book, by the way. Jack Carr's a little bit ahead of me, but I've been seriously considering the idea of writing a book about somebody who the government has poured millions of dollars into and they finally just snap.
So Tyler Main, you know who that is?
No.
Michael Myers.
Okay.
Yeah. So Tyler's kind of become a friend over the years. He just released a graphic novel series called Red Tape. By the way, if you buy his book, a portion of that proceeds comes to DeliverFund.
Oh, hell yeah.
And so red tape is all about how some guy who the government poured millions of dollars into training and has really nothing else to live for, and a law enforcement officer who's really tired of all the red tape of going after bad guys, and they go after him Punisher style. So
it is a movie plot that would sell and a book that would sell, but I also think that it is possible that it actually does happen too.
There are rumors of cases. Obviously, I don't have any firsthand knowledge of anything, but there's definitely rumors of those cases.
The wrong person will snap.
Yeah.
And by the wrong person, I mean the right person.
Yeah, it's a symptom, and so like the FBI declared 764 as a domestic terror organization, as they always do. They did it too late, but they did it. Okay, great. Well, you know as well as anybody, once you add the words terror or terrorism to something, a whole new checkbook opens up and a whole new set of authorities opens up. So they'll get to the bottom of this L764 thing. Like that is going to happen. It's not going to be drone strikes, unfortunately, because a lot of the people involved are minors, 17-year-olds, 16-year-olds, 15-year-olds. I'm not saying there aren't adults. Obviously, with that many people, there's a number of adults, but there's a lot of minors as well. Just very sick, twisted. I like to use the word demonic because I cannot think of a better word. And so when we talk about Roblox specifically, like, why am I so honed in on Roblox? It's because I believe it is a platform that can't be recovered. The liability that is over that platform is virtually incalculable. Because if I can just go create a game and deploy that game on Roblox with zero oversight, well, there are these things in Roblox called condo games where they have basically pedophiles that are doing underage strip shows within the game. We talked about the Charlie Kirk assassination stuff. There are school shooting reenactments. Like, you can go to somebody's game and reenact Columbine. I mean, really sick stuff. Lots of neo-Nazism, extremism on every side over every issue. And so what you're seeing with this, I don't remember who said it. It wasn't me. But what we're seeing in society right now is what somebody that I read somewhere called it salad bar extremism. Where, I mean, you think about it, you have like gays for Palestine. It's like, go to Palestine as a gay person. See how that works out for you. Like,
not well.
Like you will see whether or not you can fly as they throw you off a building or light you on fire, or God knows what they're, horrific things are going to do to you. And so, but like, that's a great example of this like salad bar extremism. Like, anybody who understands either side of that, it just does not make sense.
So what Michael just pulled up. What is this? Just what? Blood and gore?
I just went to Roblox and typed in Columbine.
Did you just log in under my name?
No, this isn't even logged in. This is just the home page.
Okay. How much of this issue do you think that Roblox is aware of?
All of it. And let's get into that.
Where are they based?
I don't know where their headquarters is. They were a Canadian company, but they are publicly traded. They are on the New York Stock Exchange.
Yeah, Michael's about to find out where they're based.
Yeah.
I hear his
so
fingers.
if you hold this stock, get rid of this stock. If you hold this stock and you don't get rid of this stock after hearing this, you are part of the problem.
Headquarters are in San Mateo, California.
But isn't the CEO
and that might
either
just
was
be,
Canadian or he
possibly,
and that might just be a building where they get the mail anyway.
And that's largely because they
Baz.
Yep, that's him.
How do you say that? Bazuki?
Bazuki. Yeah. So let's get into David. So you just asked like why
how much are they aware?
Why am I saying how much they are aware of? Okay. So let's get into that.
Canadian-born American entrepreneur.
Okay. Oh, so what is, so for anybody who wants to know what Roblox is, if you could go back to Roblox. So Roblox is a game that is marketed to children primarily, even though they're trying to grow their adult audience,
okay,
right? Their adult users. Lots of like solid operators who like to play video games,
100%,
right?
Happens all the time.
It was never my thing.
Yeah.
Right. But like a lot of dudes, that was what they did.
Yeah, they'll hook up the computers, especially when you got a bunch of downtime. Yeah,
they're just like playing Call of Duty in the team room or whatever, right? Does that look like a game that any of those dudes would want to play? No. This is a kid's game. So as much as old David wants to say that, oh, we're growing our adults and all that, like, no, this is a kid's game. And he says as much.
You can tell by the way that what we're looking at. What's attractive about, and I obviously am speaking for myself, and I'm not a huge video game player either. I've had phases in my life. But the Battlefield series, using it as an example, what people like about it is it goes through history and genres and time and specific theaters.
Yeah.
And it trends towards hyper-realism, which is, I think, what adults are generally looking for. This is the opposite. This is the cubed, the color, the cartoonish that kids are looking for.
What do they call it? Anime, I think.
What did you just find?
So yeah,
Just
so like
an
this
example of
this is what the games look like. And again, the reason why I said earlier
And a kid
that
built this, or like people built these?
Yeah, that you don't need to be a computer engineer is because look at the graphics. Look at this. I mean, this is not hardcore computer engineering like you would see on like Electronic Arts.
It is to me
games or something like that. If you decided to put your mind to it, you could learn how to build these inside of a day.
Okay.
Right? It's just not that hard. But most people would tell you, like, anybody who can program in Unity could figure this thing out inside of an hour.
Okay.
I mean, it's just not that difficult, and that's part of their business model. Like, they can't have it so that it's extremely difficult to deploy a game and to build a game.
Yeah,
and
that would drastically
can you
reduce the
check?
user
I want to
base.
say there's over 10,000 games. It might actually be a lot higher than that. Maybe it's just 10,000 games in America. But you can see, like, this kind of stuff is being marketed to 5 and 6 year olds. 7.
Wow, some estimates pointing to around 40 million experiences
40.
available.
40 million what?
But
Experiences?
Is
I'm
an
not
experience
sure
in a
if
game the
that's-
same?
That's either way. That's a
It's
large
big.
number.
It's big.
That's a large number.
So it's a kid's game.
Says the CEO.
Says the CEO as much. So if you're the CEO and all this information is coming out, oh, and by the way, these Roblox is now under either a criminal or civil suit from a number of attorneys generals across the United States. I think South Carolina just got involved. Texas,
Look it up, Michael.
Florida,
Roblox lawsuits.
Texas, Florida. I think Kentucky got involved. Louisiana, the Louisiana Attorney General, I think his filing was a criminal subpoena. So, like, this is not just Nick saying this. Like, this is getting this kind of
Dozens of
stuff.
lawsuits, primarily from families and several U.S. state attorneys general. Yep.
Yeah.
Over allegation
Here
that
we
his
go.
platform facilitates child sexual exploitation, grooming, and addiction.
Yeah, Texas, Louisiana, Kentucky, Iowa, Tennessee, Florida, and there's a couple more that they're missing here that are brand new. So this, like, the CEO is very aware this is happening.
Yeah.
Right. So I want to.
Well, this is
So
interesting.
November.
Some of the things that it's under the child sexual exploitation, specifically it mentions inadequate safety measures, facilitating off-platform harm, misrepresentation, and it's being taken at a state-level action. So yeah, those all cascade into one another.
So you would look at this and be like, oh, this is probably a new game where things got out of control. They've been around since 2005. Been around for 20 years.
Wow.
So not a new game where things got out of control. Now the CEO says, well, you don't understand the scale of the problem that we have here. Like, that's some kind of excuse. I mean, what I learned from leadership is that you can delegate authority, but never responsibility. And so their excuse is, well, we just have this huge scale problem. And look at all these kids that are having a great time and they're learning STEM, as they like to say.
Yeah, but until you can control the size of the shadow, those kids might need to go to traditional learning mediums to get that knowledge until you can protect them.
Yeah.
Like, at what cost is what it comes back to.
It's the same thing with that. So the company that I talked about who had was the tent pole that's holding up the commercial sex trafficking industry.
The burner phone one?
Yeah, the company is providing the burner phones. They're a publicly traded company as well. By the way, that means they're on notice because there's some recourse there.
Yeah.
That you can do to get their attention. So that company, I contacted one of the founders. He got upset with me, and I contacted him with definitive proof that this was happening. And he told me, well, one, if you can't attack the message, what do? You
attack the messenger.
You attack the messenger. So he starts attacking me. I'm a pretty easy person to Google, and I'm not the most credible person, but like when it comes to this issue, I'm pretty credible. And so he attacks me. He gets upset with me for sending him this information. Now, if I had started a company and I thought that even one child was being exploited on the backbone of my technology, I'm shutting the whole company down until we get that problem fixed, the whole thing.
Yeah.
And if you're not willing to do that, then you are praying to the God of money over the protection of children.
They'll excuse that away in a variety of different.
They always do, but it doesn't mean it's not
shareholder.
Doesn't mean it's not true.
Well, you notice I opened with they will excuse that away.
Right.
Yeah. There's a variety of ways. It's a scale issue. We don't know how to wrap our arms around it. Look at the good we're doing.
Yeah, it's not happening at the level you think. Right. So this is why I say Roblox is irrecoverable, because the CEO is fully aware of all of this, right? Now, if you're the CEO, even if, let's just say you're in on it, you're gonna say the smart things, right? So November of this year, the CEO did a
like last month.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. So the very recent, he did a interview with what's called the Hard Fork podcast, which is a New York Times podcast, right? And they asked him about Roblox's predator problem, and I wrote this down. So this is a direct quote, so he can't sue me for saying a direct quote. What Bazuki said was, quote, "We think of it," being the predator problem, "not necessarily just as a problem, but an opportunity as well."
An opportunity to do what? The only answer to that better be to solve it.
How do we allow young people to build, communicate, and hang out together? That is the full response.
That's a really weird combination of words.
Isn't it, though?
Yeah.
So let's see why he maybe would think that. In the same interview, they said, hey, as a joke, and I went and watched this interview because it's like there's some context that's being missed here.
Yeah, written word can be, so, what tone do we get? Is there sarcasm I can't pick up?
So the podcast interview hosts you could tell they were kind of just trying to throw him a softball. And they asked him about gambling in Roblox, right? And he said, quote, "It sounds very fun and obvious. I love that." So then the podcast host goes back and it's like, no, I'm joking. It's a horrible idea. And Bazuki just doubled down on it. And he said, quote, "It's a brilliant idea if it can be done in an educational way that's legal."
He sold that straight face? There was
straight-faced.
Okay.
Straight-faced. So he believes that predators...
This is the face of the company that said that publicly?
Yes.
That's on camera. That's a bold move,
right?
Yeah.
So I'm like, man, if I was their legal counsel, I'd be like, put that guy in glass and don't let him talk to anybody ever.
And maybe don't air that episode. If you could get them to shut that down, which you probably couldn't.
Yeah, no, it's out there. So you can pull it up. It's a Hard Fork podcast, David Bazuki.
Yeah, I've got it. I'm just trying to find the exact.
So now he said that predators are an opportunity without qualifying that statement. The qualification for the statement was, how do we allow young people to build, communicate, and hang out together? And what you'll find in all of this is that he fundamentally believes that it is okay for strange adults to be talking to children they don't know. And how do we know that? So, childhood gambling, totally fine. So then, well, how long has he been saying this kind of stuff? Well, at the Roblox Developers Conference in 2023, he made 10 predictions, for the next 5 years, right, until 2028. And his 8th prediction stated, thousands of 17-plus users will meet for the first time in Roblox dating experiences and subsequently form real-life relationships. So here's a guy who repeatedly, time and time again, admits that Roblox is a game for children, who just said that he wants Roblox to become a dating experience in 2023 for people who are 17. Last I checked, 17 is a minor.
So this is the gambling.
Oh, you got to do the volume on the TV.
Yeah.
If it can be done in an educational way. I actually think it's a brilliant idea if it can be done in an educational way that's legal. And so I imagine a no free Robux, no free prizes, just a game called the Dress to Impress Predictor, where it's not like trying to get kids money or anything like that. I would be a big fan of it.
Interesting. Yeah.
It gets worse. It gets worse. So let's go back even farther. July of 2023, GameDaily.biz was doing an interview with him, and they asked if Roblox would ever allow nudity on its platform. And what's so funny is these are like soft interviews, very clearly put together by PR teams, and they're supposed to be very friendly interviews and things like that. Like Bazooki's not going on freaking Rogan or the Sean Ryan podcast or sitting here or somewhere where somebody might ask him some hard questions, right? I mean, these are these are layups. Yeah. And the guy can't even like, I mean, he just says what's on his mind very clearly.
I was going to say he might not even be trying to pitch a message. He might just be answering honestly.
He is answering honestly. Yeah. That's my whole point. So in the Game Daily interview of July of 2023, he was asked if Roblox would ever allow nudity on its platform. And it's very clear they were asking that as like, you'd never allow nudity, right? What was his direct quote? I would never rule it out. Like, you just can't make this stuff up. So he says, I would never rule it out, quote, based on the company's long-term view of mirroring real-life activities and enthusiasms. What does that mean? While also maintaining safe boundaries. Adding, and then he added, he said, getting to that kind of stuff probably isn't in the short-term future for us. So you want to mirror real-life activities and enthusiasms with the game that we saw that looks like a 5-year-old developed it?
Why would any parent let their kid on the site?
Isn't that the question? And there are some parents right now who are allowing their kids to play Roblox who didn't know. And that's not your fault. Yeah. Now you do know. If you continue to allow your child to play the game, you are, 1, exposing your child to untold amount of danger. Yeah. 2, you are financially supporting a platform that allows this to happen and has this built in. So what Roblox says is that they're going to, they've got some age verification software, facial recognition software that they're rolling out in 2025. That requires, and like, I'm very familiar with how that technology works. I mean, at DeliverFund, we actually built a biometric system that does this kind of thing on the human trafficking fight. So very familiar with it. It requires you to take a photo, essentially. It's not really a photo, but measurements, which is basically a photo of an individual's face. Are you letting this guy take a photo of your child's face?
Lead first and foremost with safety and civility, and then second with mirroring what happens in the physical world.
Hey, pause, Michael. So what is the word civility doing in that sentence?
Right. So safety and civility is always the thing he leans back on. He's like, oh, we really just want to have a lot of safety and civility.
What?
I don't know if he's talking about
like sure things like nudity will ever be allowed on Roblox.
What I would say is we would lead first and foremost with safety and civility, and then second with mirroring what happens in the physical world. And so I would never.
There's a lot of really terrible things that happen in the physical world. What I don't understand, it seems like
but they're mirroring that the Charlie Kirk shooter, the school shootings, right?
I don't understand. It seems like the platform is trying to become everything. Educational gambling, a place for people to learn STEM, young people can meet up, dating, maybe new. What's going on? Is this a gaming platform for kids, or is this supposed to be the end-all, be-all of the internet?
So it's very clear. Obviously, haven't talked to old David. I'd love to sit down and have a chat with him.
Yeah, I don't know if he would enjoy our conversation. I don't think he would
do that. My guess is if he showed up to have a conversation with us, he would bring a lot of security with him.
It doesn't help when it comes to answering questions.
Nope. But I think that he is really trying to position Roblox as the next Meta.
That would make more sense given what it is. He's leaving the door or window, whatever metaphor you want, open to everything.
But think about how terrifying that is when it comes to the safety of children.
Yeah.
I mean, it's programmatized exploitation of children at scale. And that's sad. So like they've been around for 20 years. And so there are things that, I mean, you look at 764 Group, they very specifically are trying not to get caught. They're trying to see, they're trying to exploit children. I mean, you could find them on the internet. Don't go look for them just because at that point you're just kind of driving traffic.
At least log into your own Google before you do that, Michael.
But you can find their grooming manuals and things in different hacker forums and whatnot. Like it's all public domain. It's all out there. It's kind of hard to find, but you can find it. And those guys are very specifically saying Roblox is the place. One of the best places to go find minors.
And there's a reason why they're saying that.
Yeah, there is. And so they have, and so do we honestly believe that if they've been around for 20 years and they've, and this pedophile problem, which 764 just takes to a whole new level, they've known about for, half a decade, and they haven't done anything meaningful about it? Are we honestly to believe that they're going to do anything meaningful about it in the future? And what's really interesting is when you look at their business model, you can start to understand why they would never allow moderation of the games before they got published, because that would create this huge backlog of games. They would have to hire all kinds of people. That's going to cut into their profit margins.
They'd also have to rubber stamp it.
Yeah, and so I want to say their price to earnings ratio is like 13. Can you check that? So Electronic Arts, as an example, I mean, that's publicly traded, pretty well-established gaming company, I would say. I mean, I remember EA.
The Madden franchise?
Yeah, back in the day.
Yeah.
When I was a kid, they've got a price to earnings ratio of like 5. And I want to say Roblox was like 13 or somewhere around there.
It says, currently has a negative price to earnings ratio. They've been posting losses rather than earnings, or rather than profits.
This may be just because of the recent.
Yeah, that might just be because of the recent stuff.
I'd be very pleased to hear that.
That'd be amazing.
Still pre.
If you pull up their actually, I made. Let me see if I can find it.
Those are all negative.
No, I'm sorry, not PE ratio. I must be thinking of their price to sales ratio. Their stock sales.
Yep.
Ratio. Yeah, so at one point it was 40.
Okay, now we're back in the money.
Yeah. What 2024 topped out at 10.4,
Yep.
10.8, 10.2, like
12.5 in
huge,
2022,
huge
31
ratios.
in 2021.
Which means that Wall Street is basically just saying that, oh, this is just a growth story.
Yeah.
Like, this is just a growth story. They're just going to keep skyrocketing. And parents who are allowing their children to play this game, right? And there's Roblox obviously makes a lot of money off of this.
Yeah.
The way that they're allowing their
Hit 5-year on that, Michael. Yeah.
the way that they're allowing the children to play the game, they're incentivizing this behavior. So you can see, even in 2025, even with all the bad news, and
big spike towards the tail end of 2025.
Yeah, I made a graph that I can't find, where I actually overlaid all the events.
Yeah,
and it just continued to grow. And actually, part of that I put on Wall Street, right? So Wall Street investors, and I got to imagine with your following, there's at least a few that are listening here. Like if you're looking at the decrease in in Roblox.
Freudian slip. Do you need another coffee?
Well, no, you can tell some of the trading I might have been doing. recently. But if you're looking at the drop in Roblox stock price as a buying opportunity, shame on you. Absolute shame on you. You should just be saying,
if you know.
Yes, yeah, that's what I'm saying. If you're listening to this,
I'll give you a little bit of grace.
Yeah, for sure.
Yeah.
So I used to be invested in a venture fund that held Roblox. I exited the venture fund. It was one of the earliest investors in Roblox. I didn't know, right? And then once I started finding all this out, I went through every single fund I'm part of, looked at their portfolio, and I found that this one venture fund was it's an aggregate venture fund.
But still peripherally involved.
Yeah, and
money,
it was they were one of the early investors in Roblox, and I dumped the entire fund.
The more you know, the more you can do. And again, I don't blame. I get it.
If you don't know, you don't know.
You all see
right?
parents out there with the phone and the iPad is the ticket. And maybe I would have gone down that path if my kids were younger at the age that they are now. Like, I get it. But that doesn't excuse you from burying your head in the sand.
Yeah.
And if you know better, you can do better. And I'll give you a bunch of grace up until the point where you know better.
Where you know.
The judgment, internal and external, starts once you know.
Yeah.
Because then you don't get to bury your head in the sand anymore.
And God forbid a parent knows and they just don't want to fight with their child over taking away Roblox, and then something happens to their child. Could you imagine living with that?
No.
Like I couldn't. Like I have no idea how I would take my next breath. And
so how does this tie into things like Minecraft? Does Minecraft have an economy like this as well? Because I've heard stories of Minecraft, worlds are being built inside of that, which are experiential, where things like this can live inside of the platform.
So yes, but the reason I don't go after Minecraft as hard is because it appears that they're actually trying, and Minecraft is not something where I don't believe the technology can probably be recovered if the company does the right things, right? Roblox cannot be recovered.
You think they're past that tipping point?
I just think that fundamentally the way their technology works, they just need to be burned to the ground. It's really that simple. And so when you look at everybody who like, you know, that 764 is convincing kids who are lonely with probably some underlying mental illness issues to light themselves on fire to commit suicide on camera, right? So if you are paying into Roblox, if you're an investor in Roblox like that, and you know this stuff, now that blood is on your hands. I mean, there is just no other way around it.
Yeah.
And so, you know, Meta, with a lot of the stuff that is going on with Meta, obviously they have a massive scale issue, but their underlying technology probably allows them to get this situation under control. And this is actually where, you know, I get really torn because I'm a pretty anti-government regulation guy, because I think when the government gets involved, it usually just tends to make things worse. But there are times and places where we need that. The anti-money laundering laws we have, right, keeps a lot of crime at bay. We do need some regulation around the internet. Communications Decency Act Rule 230 does need to be revised for the modern era.
That's the one that provides protection for the hosting platform, right?
Yeah. So somebody says something bad about me in a comment on YouTube, I can't sue YouTube for their comment. I can sue that individual.
Be held responsible for,
right.
Yeah. What would you change it to? What changes would you make?
That's probably a better question for people a lot smarter than me. I can say generally the direction I would like to see it is where if you have the identity of the individual who's under that account, right? So account, I don't know, Lifted Cummins 1983, right? Says something bad about me. And I say, okay, I want to sue that person. YouTube can tell me who that person is, or tell my lawyer, or a judge sends a subpoena or whatever, and the legal system can find out who that person is. Right now, they're like, we have no idea. They were on a VPN that was running them through Egypt, and we got no idea. So that, I think, is And that's not just going to solve this problem. That's going to solve all kinds of problems, right? The other day is a great example. I'm standing in the ski lift line with my kids.
And I got snow up there.
What snow?
Yeah, we had a flood.
You mean the class 3 rapids that were coming down through the valleys? It started off
so strong. Before we went to Costa Rica, it was nuking. We were going to come back to feet of fresh powder. Flood warning.
Yeah, you have feet of
slop.
Yeah, it's the top of the anthill. As you come off of chair 1, it's like I look down and because my daughter just got brand new skis, and so I'm working her through it, and and it's not like icy, it's ice, and that it is blue, like blue ice. And she's asking me how to get over this thing, and I was like, sweetie, you just got to point them down.
Yeah.
And as soon as it turns white, go ahead and dig those edges in.
Yeah. And just fall over if you need to as well. Yeah.
So anyway, we're standing in line, and a couple of teenagers being complete jerks. And I had to think twice because I have my ski pass on the side of my helmet. It says Nic McKinley, 47 years old, with my picture.
Yep.
And so I was like, just going to go ahead and swallow this, try to be a good example for my kids and not say what I want to say, because it's real easy for everybody around here to see exactly who I am. I'm not anonymous, with my helmet and goggles.
Yeah.
And so I think where we need to trend towards with CDA 230 is that platforms can continue to operate the way that they currently operate. We obviously need to put some child protection regulations and things like that in place to keep these things from happening. But generally, the platform needs to know who is on their platform.
Yeah, it can't be a one-way mirror.
That also solves your bot traffic problem. It solves a lot of your overseas
dude. Even on
issues.
X, when he fired up that you can see where the account is based.
Mm-hmm.
It changed discourse. People, they're like,
sunlight is the best disinfectant.
Like, piss off, dude. I'm not even going to engage with this person anymore because you can tell they're an antagonist from somewhere else,
right?
Trying to present themselves as an expert locally. It's like, piss off.
Yeah, yeah. And so like that's a great example of what we can do.
People did is they started going a layer deeper and taking a look at it, and then all of a sudden, the white noise kind of dials itself down a little bit.
Yeah, because when you don't have anonymity, people, and when you don't have anonymity, then that means people have consequences for their actions. And if people have potential consequences for their actions, they just are going to act in a more civil way, or they're going to tend to do less crime things. The only people, other than you got the super privacy weirdos, the people who actually believe it or not, I used to work with some of them at the CIA. I was like, bro, you have a security clearance from the CIA and you think you're off the grid, but you'll
never be off the grid for the rest of your life.
Yeah, they wouldn't fly to a training location. They would drive because they didn't want to. Actually, this guy was a SEAL. You probably know who I'm talking about. Lives in Maine. Okay. He was a dam neck guy from the early 2000s, I think, is when he got out.
Okay.
But he said he didn't want to subject himself to the tyranny of TSA. I was like, dude, you subjected yourself to the tyranny of a security clearance. That wasn't awesome.
TSA checks your bag. They even let you keep your shoes on now. I think tyranny needs to mean something.
Yeah.
And if we use that word.
And that's not what it means.
If it means sometimes you take your laptop out of your backpack, which, a lot of the stuff they do is ridiculous, but maybe let's just use that word.
We know it.
Yeah.
Yeah. So anyway, the point is you have the people like that who are this hyper privacy awareness stuff. And you know what? I'm willing to sacrifice you as collateral damage to solve this problem.
What else are you seeing? What else you got on that iPad?
Oh man, I could go. we could go on for days. You hear about Brand Army?
Never heard of it.
Oh yeah, of course you wouldn't have. So Brand Army is. You familiar with what OnlyFans is? It's
Yep.
OnlyFans, for anybody who's not aware of it, is amateur pornography for adults.
The democratization of adult content is how people describe it.
Okay, yeah, that's actually a great way to describe it.
Anybody can be a content creator if they so choose. Direct to consumer, DTC, if you will.
To include traffickers. So
Probably.
we know for sure, there are traffickers who figured out, wait a minute, I can take my girls, I can make them do porn on OnlyFans, and I get to keep the money.
Do they allow full porn on OnlyFans?
Oh yeah. and I can keep the money, and then I file taxes, and I have a legitimate source of income. And so the trafficking community has gotten that figured out. Brand Army is an OnlyFans for young teens.
Okay.
Now, they don't allow pornography, and they don't allow full nudity, and they have these like weird ratios of like, for every bikini shot of like a 12-year-old, you have to post like 5 normal photos.
Who's looking for a bikini shot of a 12-year-old?
Isn't that it? Like, why can this thing even exist as a business?
Yeah.
Right? And there are parents who are putting their children on this platform and making money from it.
Stop it.
Nope. That's a very real thing. And a lot of these children, especially the younger girls, are being groomed by using Brand Army so that the transition to OnlyFans when they turn 18 is pretty linear.
Who are these parents?
And that's just kind of a general. I understand pornography is something that people struggle with. I understand that pornography is protected by the First Amendment. Like, I get all that. And it's still true that if you engage in the pornography industry, you are feeding money into essentially the glacier that becomes the stream of child trafficking. Like that's just a true statement. And I know that makes, especially given that this is probably a lot of soft bros and stuff that are listening to this, and people like that. We all know they're penchant for some kind of weird stuff on the pornography side.
Some of them. Yeah.
But that statement probably made some people feel pretty uncomfortable, but it doesn't change the fact that it's a true statement. And it's just like everything we talked about with Roblox. There's a lot of parents who are going to be listening to this, and they're going to, in the back of their mind, their child is in the back of their car on a road trip for Christmas playing Roblox.
Yeah.
And they're sitting there thinking about, like, do I take it? Do I not take it? Is Nick overblowing this?
Yeah.
And I'll tell everybody, like, I just wanted to put the information out there. Go do your own research. I mean, we could have a year's worth of podcasts for multiple hours each one, just talking about the issues that we glanced over. I mean, it's the tip of the proverbial iceberg. And so people need to understand that if you're participating in these industries, you're participating in the very platforms and the very reasons why these children are being exploited, right? Why is there even a market for this Brand Army thing? Like why can that even exist as a business? What does that say about us as a society, that it can be a viable business?
And what are these parents telling themselves in the mirror, that getting to a place where, and again, live your life however you want to, make the choices you want to. There's consequences to good and bad. But I mean, I think about my own kids. I only have one daughter. Like, there's no world where I would think that would lead to something that would be enriching or
healthy or beneficial. Yeah.
I actually think it's a really good thing when people are confronted with uncomfortable concepts or ideas. Mm-hmm. Sit with that for a bit and ask yourself what makes you uncomfortable about it. Is it because does it strike a nerve with you, or you just like child pornography? That should make everyone uncomfortable, I think. Now, if you're not participating and not involved in that ecosystem, good. Feel uncomfortable with that and spread that level of uncomfort anywhere else. Something like this, or you hear that you may be in a way like third party or not even intentionally helping support this, sit with that level of uncomfortableness and then do something about it.
Yeah.
Because the more you know, the better you can do.
So let me give you a good example. Kathy Woods owns over 5% of Roblox.
Who's Kathy Woods? Kathy
Woods is shall we call a dynamic personality of an investor. She's, hit some balls and hit some strikes. And
me too.
And so, but she owns over 5% of Roblox. She has not said a word publicly about this. Not a single word.
Has she been confronted publicly about it?
Not that I know of. Now, I'd like to extend her some grace. Say, okay, Kathy, maybe you're using your power and your position in the company to affect change behind the curtains quietly, because you feel like that's the best way to get things done. Okay, I'll buy
to believe that.
every person that I know who knows Kathy says that probably is not the case. And so I think too many people think that, well, this is just an overblown issue, or it's such a small percentage. One, we're seeing that it's not a small percentage. That is increasingly coming out. I mean, why is it that you have, the Attorney General of Louisiana launching a criminal case against Roblox, but they're not launching a criminal case against Google? So
I would imagine because they had a cacophony and growing swell of people where it became unavoidable to that person.
Exactly.
Probably had a threat to their job.
Exactly. So that's why, because they're elected politicians. So why are they willing to go pick that fight? Well, the only reason they're willing to go pick that fight is because they're incentivized to do so, because it's actually that big of a problem.
Yeah.
So okay, why hasn't Kathy just come out and said, I don't care if it's at a loss? It's obviously not a loss since they went public in, 2021, I think. Something
like that, yeah.
I mean, you can see the graph. It's not going to be a loss, but why has she not dumped it? BlackRock, I think is it BlackRock, who's a pretty major shareholder of Roblox. Like, why have they not dumped the stock? Why have they not?
Well, at
said
this point,
anything?
I believe they own everything.
Yeah, that's probably true.
You hear their name associated with real estate, VRBO. I mean, you name it. If there's an investment opportunity, BlackRock seems
they're
to be
in it.
They're in it. But I mean, also that's what they do.
That's what they do. And
but that doesn't mean you have to participate. Again, once you know better, you can do better.
And this would be a rounding error for them if they were, right? So if you look at like who are...
They own 39.38 million to 39.4 shares of Roblox.
Yeah. So 5% of the company.
They own more than her.
Yeah. Well, I don't know if it's quite more than her. I thought Kathy owned 5.63%.
Recent filings showing a 14% increase in their stake. So they are buying more.
Like, if you're the CEO of Roblox or of BlackRock, like, shame on you, man. Like, children are dying at the money that you invest. Like, at what point are we as a society going to say, you know what, enough is enough, and it is we are not going to make money on the backbone of companies that are hurting children. We're not going to invest in CEOs who say that they wouldn't rule out having nudity on a child's game. We're not going to invest in CEOs who say that they want to see their child's, the game that they made for children turn into a dating platform for minors, right? 17 years old is what Bazooki said. That is a minor.
The dating platform for minors should be high school.
There shouldn't be a electronic
real
dating.
Life.
Yeah,
it's go live your life. There's your dating platform.
Yeah, it's I don't know, stands at the football game or whatever. It's not a child's game. And
do you ever when you get real? Not that I'm an optimist or a pessimist. I've been described as both glass half full, glass half empty. I believe the glass is refillable, so it doesn't really matter where you're starting from. But sometimes when I'm being pessimistic, I wonder if there even is a line where people would say that's too much. Or are we by design so bombarded just to keep your head down to survive so that we never get the chance to collectively look up and take a stand against stuff like that?
I think that the way that we distribute information in the modern era is too controlled. And so if Kathy wants to make this episode of this podcast go nowhere, she can send a couple of text messages and pay a couple $1 million and probably make that happen.
I believe that's possible.
Yeah,
I certainly think that there are.
The reality is we're not going to create enough of an uproar to get her to pay attention.
I don't think any one person can.
No,
it's the boulder rolling down, or a snowball would be a better example. It is growing as it rolls downhill.
So, but the thing I like, an avalanche is a better analogy. And
a snowball can start an avalanche. Don't steal my shit.
The reason why is because you can dodge a snowball. But if the whole mountain is avalanching down, which is why every single parent who's listening to this, one, get your kids off Roblox, stop feeding that monster, and then go tell all of your friends. I mean, what I would
ultimately... Are they a subscription model per month? Like, what would be the biggest way to...
They make money off of what's called Robux, which is where you have to pay somebody who developed a game.
Yep.
You have to pay them to play their game in a currency called Robux.
So like in-app commerce.
Yeah, in-app commerce. Roblox gets 30% of that transaction. So they make 30 cents on every dollar that's spent inside the platform.
So again, a roundabout way that would impact everybody involved would be just the participation in general. Don't participate. Yeah, don't jump in the pool and you won't get wet.
Yeah, just get out. And so if you listen to this and it made you angry,
we're not done. What else do you have on the iPad?
That means nothing.
Don't steal anger and hatred from me.
To participate.
Of course.
Right. So like what can parents do? One, get their kids off Roblox. Two, tell other parents to get their kids off Roblox. And ultimately, what's going to solve this problem is a boycott of Roblox. And then Roblox is going to crash. Some PE company is going to swoop in, buy them for parts, and then hopefully we'll have better games down the road. Hopefully next year we'll have some that we can talk about, but we'll have better games for kids down the road that were built with all the safety features from the beginning, as in the safety features were architected.
Yeah.
And then the game was built on top of the foundation of the safety features, not the like this is something we're going to finally get to when people start forcing our hand.
I was thinking about that when you were saying the CEO was talking about it's a scaling issue, which I don't discount that their ability to control the scale is probably impossible at this point. But then I would think, if I try to put myself in those shoes, I'm not the CEO of a publicly traded company, but I'm just looking at this from a moral perspective. And again, you're educated about this. I would put the odds at slightly over 0% that he doesn't know that this exists.
No, he does. He's commented as much.
So what I'm saying is, if you're in that spot, okay, we can't scale it, then dude, stop the growth until you can.
Yes. Yeah.
Put the brakes on until you can breathe.
We're shutting down the company for 2 weeks. Sorry for the disruption.
You guys are all these things that you guys were waiting for approval on or ability to do this. We're putting it on hold, and this is the reason why. And put the safety mechanism in place.
Exactly.
And then re-release it. And if you can't, well, you're the one looking in the mirror on that moral conundrum on the way that you want to, steer the ship of Roblox.
But you saw what David said. Like, he's not giving talking points. With a straight face, he's giving his honest assessment. This man genuinely believes these things.
The beauty of the information we do have or things like that, and people will ask me if I ever sat down across from somebody that I thought was lying to me or lying about something. And the answer is, of course, yes. And they say, well, what do you do? Do you call them on it? And I'm like, no. I let them talk more. Because most of the time, all you need to do is just let people talk. They'll show you who they are. And if that person, if he's answering those questions in that way, and that is what he believes, for all the parents out there, because guess what? It's probably not your kid's credit card or debit card that's paying for the Roblox or the monthly subscription. Now you have from the horse's mouth what that person stands for, the culture and foundation of that organization.
Yeah.
What are you going to do?
So people will be
listen to him talk.
Yeah, the FBI will get to the bottom of the 764 problem, and I think they probably will. I think they probably will.
What are you going to do in the interim?
But then there's going to be another one, and there's going to be another one, and there's going to be another one. Because
I have heard of 6-7. Have you heard of that one?
Yes, but what the heck does it mean?
Yes, Michael, I don't actually know. It means everything from F. It's like Hooyah and Buds.
Oh, okay.
It means yes, no, F you.
It's the universal.
It's something that 10-year-olds, they just like 6-7. Michael, what does it mean to you as a 23-year-old?
Even I am too old for 6-7. I don't really get it. I don't think it really means anything in particular.
But it means everything. Because I was with my nephew who's 8. We were at a wedding.
What's Perplexity say that 6-7 is?
Actually, Google that sucker. We're not Rogan here. We don't use Perplexity.
How about Gemini?
What's that?
Oh man, it's Google's version of.
Oh, okay.
It's their AI.
Whatever, dude. If I accidentally clicked on it,
it's the reason OpenAI will end up going out of business.
A vague, popular slang term. Oh my God, it's dictionary.com's 2025 word of the year. Signifying something nonsensical or just being online, as 6-7 prefix to dial a number. Oh, that's where it comes from, the star 6-7.
Okay.
Vague slang. Yeah, okay. So it means absolutely everything and nothing. Which is what the kids in the back of the cars I was driving around, they'd be like, oh, Chick-fil-A 6-7.
What does that mean? But I think a lot of kids probably don't even know. They just pick it up because someone else says, because someone else says, because someone else
100%.
says.
That's how
they
things
just
catch
learn how to use it in context.
Yeah, that's
right?
how things catch fire.
My son knows a few words that he probably shouldn't. He doesn't know what they mean, but boy, does he know how to use them in context.
I cared less about the words that they used for my kids when it came to we'll call them adult words.
Yeah.
It was it in a complete sentence and used properly?
Oh, yes.
'Cause
nailed it. I'm like, wow.
That's kind of what's important.
Where'd you learn that?
You.
It was me.
Yeah. Here's the thing. They're going to learn them all at some point anyway.
Yeah.
Work on combos. Work
on using them properly.
Let's sharpen the blade. So don't use these as a measure of last resort. But when it's time to go,
this is how you do it. Yeah.
How are you hopeful about any of this with what you are immersed with online?
Whoa, okay. So how am I hopeful?
You
on
see this
the
more than
traditional
anybody else.
Human trafficking side, I am hopeful because we know exactly how to fight it now. And even though AI has just become this catchphrase, we've been using it for 6 or 7 years. So I actually love with all these tools like Perplexity and Gemini and ChatGPT that have come out, because now I finally have a way to explain what we do in the fight against human trafficking to the 75-year-old heiress to some fortune who is donating to DeliverFund.
Are you starting to feel like the crack at the top of the fall line of the avalanche is getting ready, so you can just
So we see in the places where we've been active for more than about 2 years, places like Ventura County, San Luis Obispo, those areas, Dan Dow, the DA out there, has done a phenomenal job of just really attacking this problem. They're having a hard time finding traffickers. It's a win.
That's
huge
awesome.
Win. In Dallas County, we started working with Dallas PD 10 years ago, and they keep standing up and shutting down their human trafficking unit, which is a whole other conversation about lack of priorities within law enforcement, and that's not law enforcement's fault. Let's be very clear about that. That's the people who are giving law enforcement their orders, which is our politicians. And how do they give them their orders? By funding this unit and not that unit, right? So Dallas is a great example. They stood their human trafficking unit back up, and this whole time we were working in Tarrant County, which is south of Dallas. That's Fort Worth, Texas. Mm-hmm. And Sheriff Wayburn has just been an absolute pioneer in that area. Well, they were having a hard time finding traffickers in Tarrant County because they all went into Dallas County. Well, when Dallas PD started their human trafficking unit again, and I think they actually have closed it down yet again. But when they started back up, they started arresting human traffickers. And there were traffickers saying, hey, wait a minute, you don't arrest pimps, a.k.a. human traffickers, in Dallas. So we know the system works. The problem is that part of the system is people-based, mm-hmm. which means it's not scalable, right? A human only has so many hours to do so many things. So where we go next, and why I get very hopeful, is as we get more and more data integrated in more and more of this intelligence integrated directly into law enforcement systems in an automated way, as we have more of these publicly traded companies that are providing these platforms start to use the data in order to kick bad guys off their platforms, we're going to start to see a real disruption, because it's not about getting every human trafficker arrested. It's about adding so much friction and risk into the market that it's just no longer easy and it's no longer profitable, which means they'll self-select out of the market to go do something else.
I really like your analogy of the football field, and instead of just having a 2-foot high barrier at the other end zone, every 10 yards you got something, because like you said, the cumulative mathematics works and it just starts peeling people out of that.
Yeah. Eventually you're going to trip on one of those hurdles.
What do you think, though? Because most people listening to this, I would imagine, are going to be in the role of a parent or a consumer. Mm-hmm. Let's say, so using every yard line in that example, the 10 of them, how many of those do you think could be put up by a user or a parent, though? A consumer or a parent?
So parent or consumer. Let's just look at the individual. Yeah. All right. So the individual, one.
I mean, economic participation is one based off
get
knowledge.
Your kids off Roblox.
Totally.
Right. And I would say Minecraft, never let your child on Discord. All of those. But Roblox is like, you can't attack every target at once. You got to attack one at a time, right? So like, what's the most lethal target? You're going to go after them first, right? You don't leave them to the end.
Is Roblox, are they relying upon Discord to that link? Like if you were to,
they say no.
Yeah.
And so what they say is, well, we actually try to make it very hard for people to leave the platform. But then why is it happening at such a scale?
What if you were to for whatever, say Discord went down for a year? What kind of impact do you think that would have on trafficking, specifically of minors? Or leveraging of
if Discord went down,
and let's just say
greater than 70% reduction,
which is insane, right? Because of course there's other platforms, but it's like, okay, we're identifying with the portal where a lot of this is happening. So
but you can't put together a signal group with 3,000 members on it.
Well, that's what I'm saying.
You can put together a Discord server with 3,000 members.
And I'm just thinking again from the lens of a consumer or a parent. Okay, parents, if your kids are using Discord, make at least an educated risk versus reward decision.
Right. And I think that's one of the biggest problems we have is that the education isn't out there because you have these companies like Roblox, which they can go hire big PR firms. Great example is have you had Lila McElwaite on your podcast? Dude, she's a straight hero. The work that she's been doing. She wrote a book called Takedown. You want to get real angry? Go read that book and it's about Pornhub. So,
do you have her contact info?
Yes.
Let's do it.
Yeah. She's phenomenal.
I would remember that last name.
Yeah, I would. And I think I pronounced it right.
Yeah.
She's amazing. Cannot recommend enough that people should go buy her book so that they can support what it is that she's doing, but also read that book because it will anger you. But it's real easy to read a book about what's happening at Pornhub and be like, well, I'm not on Pornhub, I don't do porn, so that doesn't really affect me. So I started pointing out years ago that Pornhub was complicit in human trafficking. There's a lot of human traffickers and who were putting their content on Pornhub and then making money from it. And we're talking minors, like really gross stuff. Pornhub spent probably hundreds of thousands of dollars going after me personally. They had hit pieces put out on me. There's actually a piece in Forbes Digital they had put out on me, trying to say that I was doing all this terrible stuff, right? And I'm every pejorative you can throw at somebody as a white male. Well, then all of a sudden I wasn't getting any hate. And I was like, oh, they must have just kind of forgot about me. Well, no, it's because they shifted towards Lila. And so Pornhub ended up taking all kinds of content down. I mean, it was pretty drastic what she did against them. There's a lot of lawsuits that have been launched against them. Now they're a Canadian company, so they're kind of outside of U.S. jurisdiction, but the feds are getting the camel's nose under the tent on that. Without getting kind of too into detail on that. Yep. That's all because of what she did. And she launched a campaign, if you will, on X, where she started pointing out all this stuff with screenshots and whatnot that was happening on Pornhub and calling it Trafficking Hub. Well, basically decimated the platform. And they went from making all the money to making no money. And then what's really funny is they started a private equity firm to buy themselves. Right, which is a strategy that you do. Do you know what they called their private equity firm?
No.
Ethical Capital.
That's the move, though.
You just can't. That's totally the move.
Yeah, that's
right?
the move.
And so these firms will have these huge PR companies. So 5WPR was who they hired to go after me. And we know that from court filings, from DOJ filings, because the DOJ actually did go after them. Pornhub ended up pleading guilty to a number of crimes, and now they're under some. Of course, nobody went to jail because God forbid. Yeah. But they're basically the DOJ has oversight of them and their finances for a certain period of time, as I understand it. But we know from those filings, because there was this like random reporter, like who's this person? Well, in those filings, that reporter who wrote basically a hit piece on DeliverFund was named as an agent of Pornhub, hired through this PR company. I was like, oh, okay, now it all makes sense.
You can't hide anything in the modern era. I don't know why people are trying.
No. I mean, that's the freaking agency guy. Like,
yeah.
let's just say there might be potential alleged caveats, but every time I went overseas, for the most part, I was under my true name.
Yeah.
Because like you're getting retina scanned in Doha. Like how are you going to defeat that?
Eye patch.
Yeah, right?
Like Kremlin Shaw.
So, yeah, that's not happening. So, I mean, if the CIA can't pull off anonymity as well, like as a publicly traded company or a large company, you're eventually going to get caught. But a great example of what she did was there's now all of these laws that are being passed around the country. We passed one here in Montana. They passed one in Texas, I think Florida, a number of states where you have to show an ID to prove that you're 18 years old every single time before you log onto a pornography site. And why wouldn't you have that? Like,
and a VPN doesn't help you with that.
No. And anybody who thinks that's a bad idea, it's like, you're part of the problem. Like,
well, yeah, I would like for you to steel man for me the other side of that argument.
Yeah. So like, what are we doing?
Why
then?
is that a bad idea?
If you go to a gas station and you buy beer, one time you show your ID, you never have to show your ID again.
In concept, you're supposed to be carded every single time.
Right. So why wouldn't we do that for online pornography?
Yeah. It would be real tough to steel man the other position on that, but I'd love to hear people try.
I would love to hear it. Yeah. And there's not even like a civil liberties argument that you can make on that.
Yeah.
It's the same thing when we get to here. So I think ultimately what is going to happen is we are going to get to the bottom of this problem. Is it going to take 4 years? Is it going to take 10 years? Is it going to take 24 years? I don't know. It's just a matter of time. The louder we can be about these issues, the faster that timeline will go and the less kids that'll be hurt. Because this isn't a time as money issue. This is a time as the lives and the mental health of children issue. Yeah. So if you look at it through that lens, the louder we can be, the more politicians will get involved because their donors, their voters will mandate they get involved. And one of the things that I like to point out a lot, that's I think a really good analogy for this, is if you look at what's happening with the missing and murdered Indigenous women issue, in every state where there's large reservations and large tribes. We all know it's horrific. These numbers off the top of my head are probably going to be a little bit skewed, but probably only by about 5%. But I believe that, like here in Montana, I think the native population is only like 3% of the population or something like that, 4%. And yet they account for 26%, I believe it is, of the missing persons reports.
Yeah.
If that was happening to middle-class white girls at the same rate, it would be a national emergency. And how do we know this? Well, look at how many inner-city blacks were being killed by drugs in the 70s. And then all of a sudden, when it made it to the suburbs, war on drugs, the DEA, Nancy Reagan, just say no, right? And so once it starts to affect the essentially majority population, the population with the power, then you start to see some movement from our politicians. And I think that's where we are in this. So I'm hopeful. I do think that this problem will eventually be solved to the point that we can solve it. You're always going to have people that slip through the cracks, but for the most part,
reductionist approach is the one you have to take, not the absolutionist
it's
approach.
Progress, not perfection. I think we will get there. The question is, how long is it going to take? And the price of taking a long time is the lives of children. So we need to do it as rapidly as possible.
And I don't want people to hear that and think that they have no hand in this because they're not directly involved in what you do. If you're a parent, if you're you have kids and they have a social circle, you have direct impact in this. So don't wait for somebody else to do something about something that you now know about.
Yeah. I want to see the new virtue signal being deleting Roblox off your phone. So you're like showing your friend, like that's the good mom move, right? That's the good dad move.
Yeah.
I mean, that's ultimately what we want to see, because if think about this, 764 said their top 3 places to recruit kids is Roblox, Minecraft, and Discord. Now we all know that there's not a lot of the actual recruiting that's happening. A lot of the grooming is happening on Discord. But the major majority of the recruiting is actually happening on Minecraft and Roblox as an example.
They off-platform you, yeah.
So if you take down Roblox, like if Roblox is no longer an issue, you just reduce the problem by most likely about 50%.
That would be amazing.
So that's why I get hopeful about this, is because this is a technology problem, and so technology is the solution. And the technology exists. I mean, if little old DeliverFund, which is completely donor funded, can start figuring these problems out, multi-billion-dollar publicly traded companies probably already have solutions on the shelf. So if that's the case, then now we just need to create the incentive. Politicians are the ones, unfortunately, pretty much the only ones. Politicians in the market are the only ways that we can incentivize those companies to start solving this problem. So those are the two levers that we have to pull.
How can people support DeliverFund?
You can support DeliverFund. Go to deliverfund.org and click that donate button. We are 100% donor funded. We don't take government money. I think everybody understands why. We do things that certain politicians don't like, and they don't have a handle on us to be able to hold us hostage. So everybody thinks that you got to be a billionaire or a multimillionaire in order to be effective. You don't. Don't underestimate $50 a month going to DeliverFund in what we do, because that's what literally keeps the servers humming. So that's the best way to support us. You can find us on all the social channels, just at Deliver. That's DELIVER Fund. And then anybody who wants to follow me, where I pretty much only repost DeliverFund stuff, you can find me at the.nic.mckinley on all the platforms.
I thought it was going to be nick@roblox.com.
Nick@roblox.com. Yeah, and I'll say this publicly.
Like you.
No, I hope not. Hey, choose your enemies wisely, because they will define you.
Fuck.
So, and I'll say this publicly, like, put me in charge of Roblox. I solve this problem inside of 90 days.
Stock price might take a hit, but
for temporarily. Yes.
Yeah, but then again, at what cost? I don't know. Let's make a whole very at-risk community of people way safer. Cool. Stock price can just chill out for a bit.
And every single one of those, price tags has a first name and a last name and an age.
Yeah.
Right. So.
Cool. All right. Probably ready to go drink myself to sleep tonight after this conversation.
Well,
Real uplifting.
Appreciate you.
Until next time.